to reconvene the November 20th, 2023 meeting of the Woodbridge Board of Education. Call it to order at 7:06 p.m. with a reminder to all those watching and participating remotely to kindly mute your microphones to avoid any background noise. This meeting is being held as a hybrid meeting consistent with Connecticut Public Act 22-3. The public may attend in person or electronically via WebEx. The meeting is being recorded and the recording will be made available on the district's website. I'll call the roll. Vice Chair Maria Madonna. Present. Secretary Sarah Beth Del Crete is not with us this evening.
I'm online, Lynn.
She's remote. Thank you. Did you get that, Marcia? She's remote. Okay. Jay Dyer.
Yes, thank you.
Jay Dyer. Present. Brooke Hopkins.
Present.
Jeff Hughes.
Present.
Stephen Lawrence.
Present.
Michael Strambler.
Present.
Aaron Williamson. Present. I'm the chair, Lynn Piazza, present. Staff in attendance this evening include Ms. Vonda Tenza, Superintendent, Ms. Donna Coonan, Director of Business and Operations. I think remotely, yep, Ms. Carrie Borcherding, Director of Special Services. In person, Ms. Annalisa Sherman, Principal. Remotely, Mr. James Sapia, Assistant Principal. In person, Ms. Cheryl Toffel, Assistant Principal. And remotely, Ms. Marcia DeGennaro, Clerk of the Board. Thank you all. Okay, we're so pleased once again this evening to highlight the wonderful students that attend Beecher Road School. And so I'm delighted tonight to welcome Student Council members, Trixie Moore. Come on up, Trixie. Great. Samantha Pitter, Lucy Meacham, and Victor Zouet. Is that better, Victor? Okay, great. So we're and face screen. And the students this evening will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I would ask everyone to stand. Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Students, I want to thank you so much for coming this evening, for your service to the school, and for serving as a role model to your classmates and to the greater community. Well done. Thank you. Thanks so much. We're up to on the agenda correspondence. I believe that there are letters, emails and letters that have been received as board correspondence. Anything received prior to 4 p.m. today has been posted online in board book. Sarah Beth, any other correspondence?
No, you've got it, Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. The board welcomes public participation and is appreciative of the feedback we receive from the community, whether it is in letters of public comment at meetings. If you are making a public comment at tonight's meeting, please be aware that the board will not respond to any comments made during the public comment period, except to clarify issues. We will take into consideration your comment, and when appropriate, district administration will follow up with you at a later point in time. We ask that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes. As in the past, Dr. McGonick and Mr. Hughes will serve as the timekeepers this evening. So I will ask that when you're allotted 3 minutes is indicated, that speakers respectfully conclude their statements. So I'm going to get the list of those who signed up on it. First on the list, Elizabeth Davies. I'll ask you to go to the podium where there's a microphone. No, I'm the wrong one. Okay. Ruth Campfire. Thank you.
Hi, Bruce, as I stated, so I've never made a public comment, so bear with me as I go through it. My name, I have a sixth grader, his name is Stevie, he's in one of the sixth grade classes. And I know a lot of sixth grade parents are here today, and so I have some concerns with recent events that occurred with a substitute teacher. I feel like the safety of the students has been poorly managed, and that most parents were not aware of the situations that occurred with all those students. Had our children not come to us and asked for help and or reported the event. I guess for me as a parent, and I'm sure you as fellow parents can understand the concern when somebody who clearly seems unstable, and I can only see that from my own experience that this is someone who seems to have unraveled and it all sort of came to a head. And I understand that the person won't be returning, but I guess what I want is assurance that he won't be allowed back into the building, because the way I see it is assault occurred, multiple assaults on multiple children. And how do we know he won't be allowed back in? How do we know that our children are safe to return to school, especially when we consider the climate of, assault that occur in schools and mass shootings and situations like that? That's scary as a parent, because we send our children in every day hoping that they're safe and entrusting them in the care of the school. And I feel there's been a failure there. While we have had some communication from the school, I feel that it has been sparse and has yet to be addressed correctly. And while I understand that there are things that we are not privy to, I feel like the safety of our children should be the first thing that we are made aware of. Additionally, I think that I feel like the children should be spoken to and made aware that while an adult misbehaved and aggrieved them, that they need to understand that they are allowed to speak up when adults do those things that are wrong. We teach our children every day, hey, speak up. But then we also teach them, hey, respect your teachers, listen to them, do what you're told. So what kind of message are we sending? I don't think it's enough to say we're supporting them. I think it needs to be a true meeting of like, what you saw in the witness was wrong. Congratulations for speaking up. And we are going to try really hard to not let it happen again. And I think that for me is the thing that makes me most concerned, and I'm a new parent to teachers, so it's just really like disconcerting to have experience what I did. And I wasn't one of the parents whose children was actually assaulted, so that makes me even more concerned, because how do I know not what happened to my child? And how do I know that there is transparency, but it doesn't feel like there has been anyway, thank you for listening to my statement. Thank you. Allison Bell Thomas.
Hi, my name is Allison Balsamas. I also have a sixth grader at teacher, and I also have a fourth year mag student. So while I came here to speak to one particular issue, I'll also piggyback on that and speak to a second that I just got an email about on my way here, because that seems to be the state we're in. We get emails at the last minute, at the very last moment possible about things. that we should be aware of as parents. So 6 weeks ago, as you guys know, 2 sixth grade teachers began an extended leave of absence, leaving our sixth grade students without a math or science educator. To be clear, as well as many other parents, understand and are not interested in the details of their departure because we respect that there are personnel protocols. We understand that there's privacy. However, this is an ongoing situation that the administration was aware of, one that would take time to work through, and one which would leave those students without a full-time teacher for many weeks. It wasn't until October 27th that parents received an immediate and initial response from the administration, even informing us that these teachers were on an extended leave. We had been hearing from our students at home, but now after 2.5, almost 3 weeks, that was the first initial email we got from administration about what was happening in our child's classrooms. The failure to provide a clear plan or maintain transparent communication with parents regarding this crucial matter undermines our trust and leaves our children's education in uncertainty. There is a lack of proactive responses that continues to add to the frustration surrounding our children's education. On November 8th and 14th, we received emails that the 2 teachers had resigned. These emails were word for word verbatim, copy and paste emails, just subbing out the teachers' names. This was after many requests for plans for curriculum to be followed, check-ins on the safety of our students, which we learned wasn't being properly monitored. We also were made aware that they are working on a process for the science and math sections of the report cards, which also lets us know that it's probably impossible to grade them because they haven't been getting the standards and the curriculum and the education that we've been asking for them to have been maintained over the last 6 weeks. The past weekend, we were informed that the science substitute is no longer at the school. Again, this email came at the very end of Sunday night, after many of us had been hearing from our students for days. And the opening sentence of that email was that I've heard concerns and worries raised about recent incidents. And this seems to be a pattern that parents have to raise concerns and incidents to the administration coming from their small children, and then the administration lets us know what's happening. I think that it is wholly inappropriate. I think that it is unacceptable, and I implore the administration to take action to provide a comprehensive plan for our child's education. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Hearn.
Barbara Hearn, resident in Woodbridge, teacher in the multi-age program. I'm gonna try to read a letter written by the team. The multi-age group MAG team would like to recognize the invaluable contributions Jane Shiner makes to the MAG program. Beloved paraprofessional of 25 years and a longtime dedicated member of the teacher community, both as a former parent and as a paraprofessional. MAG teachers have taught with Jane side by side, day in, day out, for decades. Jane has shown an outstanding commitment to the MAG program in a myriad of ways since MAG began. She is an integral part of the program. Without Jane, our program is at a disadvantage. Jane has always played an important role in helping the first years and new MAG families transition into MAG. Our first years learn a complex new schedule, how to transition through their 5 rooms, and they meet and begin relationships with 70+ other children. Jane works closely with these first years to make their transition as easy as possible during the fall months. Throughout the day, the children move between rooms and work in our outdoor classroom. Jane leads small group instruction with all age groups. She is a key teacher during our intervention and enrichment time. It often seems as if she is magically wherever needed for children, academically, behaviorally, or emotionally. During whole group instruction,
she just appears, and she's often part of the planning and implementation of the many hands-on activities and projects children do. We can always count on Jane to jump in wherever necessary, which helps with the organic flow of our program. Jane works beyond the school day, collaborating with us, and she is involved with the many MAG events, open houses, information nights, potlucks that go well beyond the school hours. She has done all this without monetary compensation. She understands math. She collaborates well and has the required skills and expertise to teach in a multi-age, dynamic, hands-on setting. Jane is a touchstone for so many children and families. And for us, she goes above and beyond in her commitment to math, as well as the Beecher community. Her energy is amazing. She loves her work. She loves her relationships with the children, the staff, and the family. Relationships she has built over many years. We have full confidence and trust in Jane Shiner. She's an asset to Beecher Road School. We will feel Jane's absence, and the children will miss her dearly. Sincerely, me, Robin Gerber, Louise Golden, and Chris Hart.
Chris Edwards.
As a parent of a MAG graduate, I would gladly put my name on that letter. So I have a son who is a sixth grader assigned to Miss Campbell's class this year. There have been many challenges. To start with, no advanced math education was a real downer to start the sixth grade year. The absence of a teacher that had been a student teacher in MAG that was so looked forward to. And personally, I'd written a letter asking for someone who embodied all of the characteristics that she did imbued as a teacher and a leader of a classroom. I think one of the next hardest things that has happened this year is on the eve of Veterans Day. My son came home so excited to invite his parents to come and participate in the Veterans Day ceremony. I don't know if this misinformation was because he had a long-term sub who seemed to really not be in the know of a lot of things that were going on, or if it's because he had older siblings who had had his parents, both veterans. My husband recently retired, so active duty when his older siblings were here, come and participate in what I consider one of the gems of Woodbridge and Beecher Road School. In fact, when we moved here 5 years ago, it was something I literally got on Facebook and posted, and I wrote to military families all around the country. They're doing it right here in Woodbridge. You should see what they're doing. I understand COVID came and we had to, everything changed with COVID. I understand that the school has grown, the student population has grown. I understand not being able to invite parents at large to see such a wonderful celebration, but I really urge the administration and the board to reconsider inviting local veterans. There is such a small population of those who serve here in this area. Our kids get so little exposure to the military, and those who do serve, it is a wonderful opportunity for them to see. And honestly, I feel like I was one of the first females who sat there as a military veteran. And there were kids who were interested, and it was beautiful. And it doesn't need to be a big to-do, even with a reception after, that was nice, but not needed. It's wonderful enough that the band is playing, the kids are singing, the poems are being read, and I just think it is an honor that we should continue here in the town of Woodbridge, and I thank you for this.
Thank you. That's the last name on my list of people who have signed up. Yep, come on up.
I've done this before.
Okay, if you could identify yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak for public comment.
Right. Ran up the stairs. So Mohini Ranganathan,
48 Newton Road. Right. So I'm sure you've heard from lots of parents already. And I'm just hoping, I have a sixth grader at Beecher, and I have an older son who's at Avenue 5. So he went through the Beecher system, and his sixth grade was the COVID year. So we all know what disruption and how the school, I guess, communicated really well, in my opinion, during that time, and helped us kind of come together and put it in perspective and move forward from there. And so far, I have felt a little bit that this year has not gone so smooth. Similar to that, not the same magnitude, of course, situations outside of control of the school administration. But as a parent, I am hoping that the communication from the school will address, I think, what are actually our concerns. I trust in the process. I am confident that folks who are managing the school are going to know what to do when there are staffing changes, etc. But what I'm hoping to hear is there a clear plan moving forward to prepare our sixth graders for the middle school? Does that plan rely solely on hopefully we'll get great teachers by January who will fill the slots? Or is there a plan with the resources available? Is there a plan to train and maybe support the folks who are going to be filling in some of these gaps? Is there some clear awareness, which the school presumably has, but can that be communicated to parents for what those expectations are for kids who are going into seventh grade? What standards must they meet? This is an academically rigorous school system, and at the same time, it's hard and disruptive for the kids and the teachers who are now coming together to fill the gaps. But if that can be communicated to the parents as well, what are those standards? How have these setbacks affected that trajectory that kids would have to be on to succeed in the middle school? How are we addressing that moving forward in the remaining 8 or 9 months? And if there are gaps that have occurred, what is our plan, and what can parents do to help fill that? So I have no lack of confidence that there will be a plan and the plan will be good. But I think that it would be wonderful to also give the parents that confidence that there is a plan. I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. Good. Just come up and identify yourself so I can make note of your name.
Thank you very much. My name is Chris Conroy. My daughter is in sixth grade in what was formerly Miss Campbell's class. I wanted to express my disappointment and the disappointment of my wife in the way that the Beecher administration has handled Miss Campbell's prolonged absence and subsequent resignation. The lack of communication and transparency has been frustrating, to say the least, and it sounds like there are a number of other parents that feel the same way. I attended the community conversation event a few weeks ago and spoke with Ms. Sherman and Ms. Tenza about the need for more information and updates, not about personnel, those are private, but just information about what's happening in our child's classroom. For my wife, as well as myself, I made a specific request for some more information about Mr. Hall, which never came forward, and who was the substitute at the time. We haven't received any follow-up from this conversation. We had to hear about Mr. Hall's recent actions from other parents after they occurred, and that was prior to any communication from the school. There are approximately 86 graders at Beecher Road School right now that dealt or had instruction from Miss Campbell and Miss Horvath. And since then, they have not received proper instruction in science and social studies. That's since early October. That's almost 1/4 of the school year for these 86 graders where they haven't had adequate education, at least not that the parents are aware of. So to move forward from this, what we would like to see is more information, better communication, with some specific information, not just that a teacher remains absent, but we're still looking, something specific about the actions that are being taken to ensure that our children are receiving the proper education that they need and that their safety in the classroom is being looked after. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and if you are attending remotely and have public comment, would you please raise your hand for the participant? I have a participant. And I don't see any hands raised in that. Anthony is not up. Thank you. All right. Thank you. You have that. Oh. Okay. Thank you to those who came this evening for public comment. The next is PTO update. Cindy Kruger, president of the PTO. Cindy has included a written report from the PTO, which can be found online in Board Book. I encourage the public to access that report. Lots of great information, and Cindy's going to highlight some of those things, I think, this evening.
I'm continually, are you guys going to project that or not?
Just, would you like to? Yeah, I sent it to you. I'll remind the public that we're trying to work out all the glitches of having hybrid meetings and get the appropriate equipment and set up the room so that we can access that for people who are watching remotely as well as for those who are in the room. So bear with us. We're just a bit longer, but things have improved since we started this process. So.
All right, well, just to transition between what we just heard and what I'll report from the PTO, obviously one of the goals of the PTO is to try to facilitate communication with parents and give you forum. And we are grateful that the administration had a forum where parents could get involved recently and can ask their questions. And we would encourage everyone to continue that dialogue. And to continue all dialogues that will help the community come together. So we'd appreciate that. Guys, people are putting comments. Sorry, I made beautiful pictures of celebrating some of our successes here. And it's important to celebrate our successes. The last time I came here, we were having the hoot coming up, but we actually did execute on the hoot. And we're really grateful for the community because we did raise over $26,000, which is enormously wonderful. And I think we had about $4,000 in expenses. So it really is the most successful hoot we ever had. And thank you everybody for all of your support. We've also done an original works fundraiser. This one was a little bit more difficult than we thought. We have some places to optimize next year, but we did really want to thank the art teachers. Oh, here it comes. All right, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, that was the hoot. Thank you. And this is that art. So we did really want to acknowledge probably the art teachers and the administrators who tried to incorporate this work kind of into the curriculum, into the school day, to really give us some beautiful mementos of our children. So we're really excited to have them. So thank you. Thanksgiving drive. So before COVID, the PTO had put together baskets for community. We decided to do something a little different this year. We tried doing a real food drive. We had a really nice set of parents who were willing to volunteer and organize that, and they collected quite a bit of food. It's hard to tell from pictures, but it's a lot of food. We partnered with Amistad House in New Haven, who does provide food to their families, but did not have a donor. So they were really happy to partner with us and have a donor for that food and save what other money they would have spent on food for additional work that they do in housing people in need. And then we didn't want to leave our Woodbridge community behind, because as much abundance as we have here, we do have people in need here. We have children living below the poverty level, probably more than people think. And we were able to raise really some nice money for them to be able to give $60 per child that went home. So that was really exciting. And I really thank everyone in the community. It was a little last minute, but I think that's our new bottom rule for community. So back to my little program on the page, it keeps me going. The checks represent where we are. We're mid-process when the original work start. We will be doing some more asks and fundraising, and then in the my mind is still it's the spring semester, but there's more time. We will be bringing back STEM night and math night and international food night. And right after Thanksgiving, we're gonna have our first book fair, so it just encourage everyone to go to that as well. When I look at this, I think we did an awful lot of work this fall, and I think the administration, especially Mr. Shannon, for her support, and we take a lot of hope for a new board, especially. This slide remains the same from the last time I presented here. I just did want to say that everything's in progress. We have started to fund those field trips and or help fund them, supplementing them and organizing for in-school events, which is a big part of our focus. And the next two things are the book fair, which is right after Thanksgiving. So I have to get ready for that. And our general membership meeting, we will be having an in-person meeting to celebrate the success and get feedback from parents and hopefully have some people from the administration to have some presentations in the middle of the month. So thank you for everyone's support. Anyone has any questions on me?
Cindy, as always, thank you and the wonderful group of parents that support the school in so many ways. I'm amazed when I see the things that are happening. So we thank you all for your efforts and for your fine report, $26,000 down. Amazing. A good start. I'm gonna get that. Thank you. Thanks, Cindy. Any other board members have any questions? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 2, consent agenda. The minutes from the October 16th regular meeting are included in this evening's consent agenda, along with the budget narrative, budget summary, budget detail report, and the combining financial statement. Does anyone on the board wish to extract anything from tonight's consent agenda? Then may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Stephen? Do I have a second? Brooke? All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda? Unanimous, Marcia. Thank you. Number 3, report, superintendent report.
Good evening. Prior to my official superintendent report, I do want to take a moment to address some of the public comment regarding safety and communication. And the first thing that I would like to say is that safety is our top priority. And as soon as we ever obtain information about an incident that would compromise safety, we take appropriate action immediately and have to all year long consistently. So I can assure you that our decisions are thoughtful and in the interest of students and staff safety. Regarding communication, I do want to address the fact that we appreciate everybody coming here to share their concerns. We appreciate the people that have called and have emailed their concerns and thoughts. We will always reflect on ways to improve, always. that is our job in education, is to learn and to grow. We hear your concerns and we realize that this is frustrating. And I ask that you please try to understand that, again, the district is not able to comment on personal issues. And while it may feel like a long time, matters unfortunately do take time to resolve, and we are obligated to provide the time needed. We will, however, try to be clearer about the ways that we are considering the students and how we are moving forward. We can improve on that. Our school is working hard to support your children, and we want to be able to work with you and share with you what we are doing so that in partnership, we can do that work together. We will strive to improve our communication. I will share that prior to next Monday, we will make sure that grade 6 families have additional information on our next steps and our plans, not only for what we anticipate to be in place and in time frames that we can, but also what additional supports that we see are needed. And we will update you regularly after that. Regularly might look like weekly, but it will be regular and it will be planful. At the same time, if you have specific concerns about your child's situation, we do not want you to hesitate to reach out to building administration immediately. Just for the board attached, we did provide the enrollment report. I'm going to move into the rest of my report. Our current enrollment is 877 students. Budget season is upon us. Donna and I are in the middle of meeting with all of the various department budget requests. As a reminder, we did schedule a separate special meeting dedicated to the overall first look at the superintendent's proposed budget on December 11th. So that meeting, we will share the superintendent's proposed budget and offer you an opportunity to digest, to look, to think. You can ask some initial questions. Send us a whole bunch of questions if you have them during that week, so that the following week on December, I believe it's the 18th, we will have our first budget workshop. The budget has a large percentage of fixed costs due to contractual obligations for staffing and resources to run our buildings. I do not expect any major additions or deletions to our budget. We are closely looking for efficiencies, which will allow us to support the addition of a STEAM teacher that was discussed last winter into this coming up budget. To date, additionally, it's important to understand that we have not included a large amount of funds to support any new reading program as we await the results of our reading waiver application. That should yield more information for us closer to December 1st. At the October meeting, the board had asked us to obtain an additional proposal regarding our next step to space utilization. So we did reach out, and late last week actually, Donna and I did obtain an additional proposal from Collier's Engineering and Design. So as we did with our prior PCG proposal, we will bring this information to the Finance Committee meeting in December for review and discussion, and I will also send their proposal documents. It came in one step and then another where we asked for additional information. I'll send it to the entire board for the update for your own.
They're in board book under the overnight or something.
I'll send them again. We did have a few celebrations. I want to talk about those briefly. This was my first Veterans Assembly that I had been to. It was lovely. Woodbridge is one of many towns that choose to hold school on this day. Not every district does. It's a town by town choice. Not everybody understands that. So, we are proud to share that BRS honored veterans in a variety of ways, music and special guest veterans. It's an important national holiday in the United States that honors the incredible brave women and men who have served and sacrificed in our armed forces. And I'm going to touch on a comment that was shared earlier. We also tomorrow have an Apple Distinguished School Award, and this is another wonderful celebration for our school. There are a lot of really great things happening here. Our programs are learner-led. It was visible in our Veterans Assembly. It will be visible tomorrow, and they're student-focused so that our children are making their own meaning from important events such as these. This is a large school. We do not have one space where all children and staff can join. That's not that uncommon, actually, but we do not have one large space. This room holds 225 individuals. And the South Assembly is the South Assembly. The South Gym holds 400 people. Our enrollment is well over 800. So we have to really think about creative ways, and I'll be working with the administration on a variety of ways. Sometimes it's appropriate to separate into smaller assemblies so that we can invite more people. Sometimes in the event of tomorrow's Apple recognition, there would be no way to separate that and repeat it. Invited guests are coming from a very high level. And so they would only present it once. So, but there could be some live streaming opportunities. We can be really creative with ways in which we can engage and invite the community back in now that COVID is over, and we are talking about that. As referenced earlier, we did have a paraeducator opt to resign and pursue retirement last Friday, and I would like to thank Jane Shiner for her service to BRS. 25 years of dedication, and she has supported many staff members and students, predominantly with the MAG program. I believe her retirement will be recognized by staff at a later date when we tend to, everybody who has retired, they tend to do a fun gathering in the spring, but I absolutely anticipate that will be recognized as well. I want to share that last Friday, I was very pleased to join several members of our Board of Education at the CADE board recognition / conference down in the Mystic area, and attending with me were Olympiadic, Maria Madonna, Sarah Beth Bell Creek, Stephen Lawrence, and Brooke Hopkins. CADE is an organization that believes that boards and superintendents, which exhibit effective leadership, work together as a team. And this board was recognized as a level 1 high functioning team, which is wonderful. And it was an honor. It was an honor to receive that award from Charlene Russell Tucker, Commissioner of the State Department of Education. So we are very fortunate to have board members in this community who dedicate their time. They listen, they respond, they encourage us. The community chat was referenced. I just want to touch on it again. We did have a community chat. It was a community conversation. The entire administrative team was present. It was wonderful. It was free. It was open, like free months, but unstructured. It was open. It was also, and we had some snacks, but we also had Lynn Piazzik and Stephen Lawrence happened to join. We listened for 90 minutes to a variety of topics. People were curious, so I'm just going to mention a few of them. The 5 and 4 process, bus transportation, special education. Evidently, we used to have a wonderful art fest. People were interested in talking about that, and maybe how can we bring some of that back? SEL curriculum, all kinds of conversation. The other piece that we wanted to highlight was that we were really excited to see people talking to each other, and community members shared with us after the fact that they enjoyed talking with people that they don't normally see, with people that they don't normally mix with in their own child's class or at social events. And they found that very helpful. And we look at that as a way to build community, which is a goal of our Board of Education. Those are my topics. Yes. Okay. Any questions about that part of the report? Fine. Okay, then we're going to move on to multilingual learner update. Think about that as well. Yes. So last month we touched on our amazing achievement and growth data related to our Smarter, Balanced, and MGSS scores. We also have another group of learners that we celebrate, which are our multilingual language learners. And we thought it would be interesting, just a few slides to highlight who are they, what languages do we have, how many students do we have, what grades are they in, and how are they doing on their Lost Links assessment, which is a specialized assessment for language learners. So, I sat with the administrative team and actually our previous multi-language teacher resigned for different, opportunity, and we have a new one, Natasha Knobloch, and you're actually going to hear from her. She stuck herself right in this presentation as well. So I'm going to let you address it.
Sure did. Good evening, everybody. So yes, I'm here to talk a little bit about our MLL program, multilingual language program, and I'm actually going to hopefully start with a little video introduction from Natasha, who is our new multilingual language teacher. She actually joined us from another school district, and very thrilled to have her here at Beecher. So I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Natasha Knobloch, and I am the ELML coordinator and teacher here at Beecher Road School. This is my first year at Beecher. I previously taught in Stamford and Hamden at both the elementary and middle school levels. My whole career, I have been in multilingual learner education. Our multilingual learner program here at Beecher is small but mighty and continuing to grow. We have 47 MLs now with a variety of home languages and a variety of proficiencies in their English language acquisition. The goals of the program are to provide access to content for our multilingual learners and access to the community for families. We do this by translation in communications home, translation in important meetings with teachers or administration. And I hope to continue to grow this as our population continues to grow. The future of Beecher Road is a multilingual one, and I can't wait to continue to embrace this with the rest of the community. Thank you.
In the slideshow, you are going to get a little peek about what she just referenced. This is a chart of all of the languages spoken here at Beecher. And there are 15 total languages spoken, with Mandarin being the largest at 22% and Spanish next at 15%. And then we have everything from Thailand, Hindi, Urdu. We are a beautiful community with a lot of different languages spoken here at Beecher. The next slide shows a trend graph of our multi-language learners here at Beecher Road School just for the past 5 years. You'll notice a pretty big jump from 21-22 to 22-23 to this year, whereas Natasha mentioned we have 47 current students identified as. By grade level, you'll see where that big jump is. They came in. So we had a big bump that year. So cohort, we have done that our biggest. So Vonda mentioned the lost length assessment. That is a yearly assessment given to all students who are identified as MLs. And this breaks out their proficiency level. Students who achieve in those levels 1, 2, and 3 continue to receive ML support. Level 4, some of those students are exited depending upon another assessment that they take. And we just continue to keep courses in the class setting. The next slide just lists off our lost length data for this past. So it says 22-23, but this is the one from last year that they took. You'll notice that our students overall did pretty well. We had about 38 students tested last year, and the lowest score there was a 18.4%, which was on the productive. And the productive score is a combination of both speaking and writing. We do often notice that the writing is an area of need, and you'll see that on the status slide, that 21% application above. So writing is often an area that our MLs need additional support on. And that is often an area that we find our students don't do quite as well on. So that's an area that we continue to sort of target. I don't know if you can see in the background of Natasha's video, but if you walk into her classroom, it is a print-rich environment. Everything is labeled. There are charts hanging everywhere. There's literature hanging everywhere. So it actually works really, really hard to sort of make that connection. Our process for identifying our MLs is multifaceted. We actually start with a home language survey right at registration. So any student that comes to us, we ask them to fill out a home language survey. Sample of that is on the screen there. If any of the answers on a home language survey is that they do not speak English, then we do a placement assessment, and by we get Natasha. And then anyone who scores not proficient or approaching proficient are identified as MSS. And then annually we do give that last thing, and the exit criteria is 4 or higher overall, and a 4 or higher in and a 4 or higher. So they do have to consistently get that level 4 score in order to exit out of MLL services. I will say that Natasha does a really great job, and all of our ML teachers and our classroom teachers do a really great job of keeping an eye on those students who exit from the ML program. We know that even though a child may exit from the ML program, it doesn't mean that they don't need continued support. So we do keep an eye on them. Natasha will often be seconds, or she'll work with the teacher to help support them. So even though a student may exit her official support with Natasha, we continue to keep an eye on. Some of the resources that we use here at Beecher are listed here. We do align all of our work with the Connecticut English Language Proficiency Standard. Those are online, available to the site. There's also guidelines provided by the State Department of Education. And one of our tools that we use is Lexia English. We use Lexia for all of our students, but Lexia English is a unique program that we were just able to get. Natasha really did a great job advocating for it, and we were able to provide that for our ML students moving forward as an additional resource. I think that is the end of my presentation. Any quick questions?
Any questions from board members? No. Everyone? Okay.
Did you know what happened in second grade? Like, was there a reason?
It was just the population of students that moved in.
It's also the reason we added another teacher.
Yeah, it's just fascinating that there was such a jump right after one.
Wasn't it?
Like everyone moved here.
Yeah, that's why.
But that third grade was the kindergarten class.
Maybe being in the city or one of this. Yeah. Technically, oh, go ahead.
I just had a question about some of the blank scores. Surprised by how low some of them, in particular, the overall score, less than 30% are proficient or above proficient. So I'm just wondering, how does that compare historically here? You know, what those numbers have looked like over time, and how it is compared to other similar districts.
That's a really good question that I don't actually have the answer to. So might I get back to you on that one? Thank you for asking. Oh, so that's I see what you're saying, the overall score. Got that.
Right, but I mean, even looking at any of the scores, they're below 50%. Other students, ELs, identified students perform on the SBAC. It seems there's a difference in performance level. Any other?
Yeah, so one of the things too that we didn't really capture here is the number of students that are identified as newcomer MLs versus MLs who are a little further along in their language acquisition journey. So our newcomer students, and we do have quite a bunch of them, are usually students who come to us speaking very limited to zero English. So, and those students are still required to take the lost links. We definitely, I know, had situations here where a student registers and comes to us, a week before lost link testing is supposed to start, and they are a, newcomer. They speak very little English, but we still have to put them on this assessment. So that doesn't really explain all the data, but I'm just sort of giving you some context. But I can definitely provide some historical information about the lost links data.
That would be helpful to see, and maybe that's something to bring to the curriculum. And get some.
Sure.
All right, so it would be good to see how many years they've been in it.
Mhm.
And that will help us understand the count. I think, because, like you're saying, the count probably driven by the ones later. Oh. And so it'll be good to track these. The other thing I was gonna ask is to piggyback on you. How do they do when they transition off this, and how are their scores? Can we track that data?
It wouldn't be apples to apples, because then the only assessment that they would be taking once they exit is Smarter Balance, which is like a totally different test. So,
And so I want to know how they're doing there relative to
Right.
the students as well. Because that gives us an idea on how well they're transitioning. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, that transition. I think it'd be great to have that data, because face to face, transitioning well, and we don't have a problem. Okay. I can see that transition being very good.
thank you.
I'll just let the public know that there'll be public comment again at the end of the meeting. So if you have questions or comments, you can make them at the end of the agenda. Thank you, Lisa. Next on the agenda is 2024-2025 draft calendar.
Okay, so we do have a calendar prepared for you. Looking for it. I did put one calendar in front of you. I have shared with you in our weekly update that Amity High School has asked and so if we would explore with the board, the Boa region, the possibility of extending February vacation to the entire week instead of the 2 current days, and then add those 3 days on to the end of the school year. The purpose for this is to allow Amity seniors a longer period of time for the student internship for their master-based credit. Currently, most students do not begin those internships until after Memorial Day due to AP exam. We have a large number of seniors that take AP exam that are held the first few weeks in May. So when school ends on June 9th-ish, the internship in some areas is quite brief. While some students are able to continue their internship if your internship happens to be in a school, the school ends. So we do host, at least 10 students down here. So when the programs first started, Jen Byers, superintendent, and Amity shared, we both had a longer February break and school started later in August. The result was that the internship lasted about 15 days. Hence their request. With that said, however, the Amity superintendent shared that if this request was not one that the BOA boards were interested in pursuing, they absolutely will find other ways to ensure that their internship experience is successful for all. So she wanted to ensure all of us that. Establishing the calendar is one of the charges of the Board of Education. So I have prepared our regular calendar for your consideration, as my recommendation would be to continue with this calendar schedule, as I believe the other districts are considering as well. This calendar follows the predictable pattern of the past few years. As we share transportation and costs, we are permitted a set number of flexible days if we do differ from the other BOA region on these 3 days, because it might impact our budget. So this is the recommendation in front of the board. If you wish to make the February a full week, we will simply put those 3 days at this.
So this calendar is before you, just for consideration. Action on the 24-25 calendar will be on the agenda for the regular December 18th Board of Education meeting. But this is Rhonda wanted to present so that everybody had an opportunity to look at it, study it before any action is taken.
We know how. It's like many high schoolers take care of elementary kids in our community, so I think coordination is probably the most important.
Coordination. The calendar that follows our common schedule. Jen asked if we would all consider, so we put it out there, again, each board, lower board, is considering it now and voting at the next month, but the general feeling is that they're all still supporting this. But
Okay, that's good to us.
yeah, I wanted to put it out there for you.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to know how other involved.
And then talk
So, and this current calendar does not have the extended February.
No.
Break on it. So, and is there flexibility built in where for transportation, or would that be an additional cost?
our calendar as it stands is aligned with the BOA district as much as possible. There might still be a little day off, but those additional 3 days, should we vote yes and they vote no, would be an additional cost, most likely, at least 2 of them. Again, I'm keeping my ear to the ground, but the general vibe from Amity, not from Amity, but from Bethany and Orange, is that they're feeling we're still gonna move forward with the traditional calendar.
When the request came from Amity High School.
Yeah. It's really for the senior class.
Okay, it came from the senior class, it didn't come from the church.
Well, it came from the superintendent to acknowledge the concerns
Okay,
that were expressed by
So it's-
seniors.
there was no recommendation made by the superintendent from Amity.
It was a request for us to explore it with our boards. It was not a hard and fast. I knew that she was very clear as I shared that she will find other ways to make this happen. Should we decide to stick with the traditional calendar. And, Stephen?
Just curious, not about this, but if there was, apparently there was some student interest in potentially adding two other holidays.
Yes.
For the
Right.
calendar, Diwali and Delta Tour. So just curious if there was any conversation with superintendent Powers about that.
So we did talk about that we meet with the BOA superintendents meet monthly. And we did talk about that. And again, that's your students were invited to come and talk at public comment. We had all decided that this calendar had been prepared. It would not appear for next year's calendar. If that's something that we wanted to discuss, as a BOA district, the students can start to do that letter work. And, it certainly could be a consideration for the following year. But there would be an awful lot of change to put that in place for next year when our calendars had already been prepared and discussed.
There's no guidance, say.
No.
Those particular holiday.
But it's nice to see students using their voice.
No, I know New York gives both, but
Okay. Anything else? All right. Moving on. Next item is open choice. Two, then. So this is just a broad statement. Every year this is put on the agenda for a Board of Education decision. So the open choice program is intended to improve academic achievement, reduce racial, ethnic, and economic isolation, and provide a choice of educational programs for all public school students. Parents of both Woodbridge and New Haven had opted into open choice for many reasons listed above. Some may consider open choice a program primarily to address racial and ethnic and economic isolation, but families do consider this program to advance learning opportunities regardless of any other reason. Open Choice is a program that allows New Haven students to attend public schools in nearby suburban towns, as well as for suburban students to attend public schools in the urban centers. Most years, we do have Woodbridge students participate in open choice and attend schools in New Haven, just as we have students in New Haven participate in open choice and attend our school. This year, we currently had 4 children from the Woodbridge Beecher Road community participating in open choice for New Haven. And this year, we welcome 16 children from New Haven to our school for open choice. It is my recommendation for the 24-25 school year, we return to the 18 slots for open choice students. This would represent 2 slots that were not filled last year, but also 1 spot that will be opened by an exiting 6th grader this year. In this way, we will maintain our number of 18 open choice students slots and ensure that a kindergartner coming to us has at least 1 other learner and would not be alone. And as an aside, we do have 2 current BRS students who participate in open choice who have siblings that will be in kindergarten next year who are hoping to attend our school. That is their preference. We have given preference to siblings in our historical past.
These siblings would be a part of the open slots. That
They
they're
would-
recommending, or would he be on top?
To-
There's no independence. They would be, they did want to come here, they would be part of the team. But
In kindergarten, that's where we take them. Their siblings are already here. They would have first dibs, so then that
is
final
there a policy in this year, is this just what we've done?
Historically,
It's
we've
our
always
historical
taken
practice that is
prison.
It's common in most districts that participate in open choice to take siblings if the siblings are interested in attending a school.
Okay, is there a motion? Anyone want to make a motion? Okay,
We move that we continue participation in the open choice program and adopt the superintendent's recommendation to allocate 18 slots for the 24-25 school year. Any vacant slots filled at the beginning of kindergarten.
do I have a second to that motion? Maria? Okay, so the motion was made by Jay, seconded by Maria. Is there discussion on the motion?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Do we know how many kids are in which grade, like for open choice, like are 3 and 6?
I do have that. There's 1 in 6th grade. That's the
1 and 6, how many in there?
I don't have all of that information with me. I have it. I can give it to you. It's probably.
So this is longer term. I'm cognizant, I do like the idea of being able to come with more than 1 person. And so I think as if we continue the kind of accepting, just figuring out how we can make it so that each cohort can have more than 1. And then I'm also cognizant that the kids going into 1st grade now, when that class graduates, we wouldn't necessarily have any openings for an incoming class. So just, I'm thinking many, many years in the future, but I just am cognizant of that. And maybe there might be a year, for example, where it seems like there has to be 1 year in here where we have like 4 kids. Maybe whenever that year ages out, we consider redistributing for the grade that doesn't have any right now. Am I making sense?
I understand what you're saying. I think when I looked at the history, it appears that we tended to accept 2 a year, right?
Okay.
Whenever possible, unless there happened to be triplets, right? Like it just really depended on the family.
But setting grades times 2 would be 14. So there has to be somewhere.
There are.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Whenever we hit the grade where it's 3 or 4, maybe we just consider the 1 grade right now where we have no kids so that we don't end up with this every 7 years. There's a 0 that we're.
Can we do that? Maybe there's 1 or something there. We start in kindergarten. No, we start in kindergarten.
Right, I'm saying like maybe there's a year where if we have 4 kids cycling out, we say kind of like, we're gonna hold off on 2 and wait until that grade cycles back where there's 0. It's a long-term problem. It's not a this year problem.
And I can get you that information so you can
Question or comment? Brooke? Steven? Maria? Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, I do. So I think that I think the board has been unanimously in support of the goals of both employees, but there have been two issues. One has been the reimbursement from New Haven. And then the other has been how well the program is actually functioning in terms of the goals of diversifying the population that comes here and providing the opportunity to the students who are coming from New Haven. So can you just speak to those two issues on where we're at with that?
Sure. So again, regarding the reimbursement from New Haven, that is a financial matter. We are continuing to work on it through our billing processes and building relationships. We have established a clear billing pattern. We have established an understanding of what would be reimbursed from New Haven so that we can predictably work through our budget accordingly. And we will continue to work to ensure that we can maximize what is reimbursed to try to close the gap on some of the funds that there's still a discrepancy on. But that's something that we are working on through our departments. And so I feel like we have a strong enough command of that to understand how to navigate it and plan for it. Regarding how well the program is functioning with the goals, again, if I look back at the goal, we do receive a variety of students and we send a variety of students, even though it's 4, we look at the reasons that children attend. It is a lottery-based program. It is open. It is something that anybody can go watch if they had questions. And I feel like every person that chooses to come to Beecher Road School makes it a better place. Because they're bringing their voice and their family and their culture, their community. There's a lot of ways, there are many ways to look at diversity, many ways. And I feel I stand confident in front of anybody when I say that this is a diverse and beautifully diverse district. And, I am offended if somebody says that we are not a diverse community. So I feel like the children that we welcome and the families that we welcome do represent a variety of diverse viewpoints, and people pick us for a variety of reasons. I can't break down all of those diversity numbers because it is such a small number, it's identifiable. And Jenna?
I do kind of a question. So kindergarten, we have 120 students right now. Is that right? So if we contributed more at the kindergarten level, what about the students who Woodbridge that also live in? Could it ever be possible that we have like 8 classrooms, or how do we do that?
Well, so it really is usually 2, right? It's usually a very small number that if you're going to do our data, it would be very difficult for me as your superintendent to recommend that we increase our slots to 25 or 30, right? There are many districts that have space that can increase their slots. We are not in that position right now. It's a very good point.
If you're asking, like, if a lot of siblings came or something, yeah.
Yeah. Where do, I
Right.
it's 6, but if we're outgrowing our door, that's just your concern.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good point. Okay.
Is the New Haven mayor around that flat and you probably right away?
No,
They're not receiving the money that.
we received what we anticipated they would pay.
But it's a discrepancy of what they think over.
Correct.
And then, I understand the lottery systems up, I mean, it's took place correctly. She's not following the lottery, is that a fair statement?
Well, I mean, we received information from all of the children that applied into the lottery. Some of them were excluded because there were several grade levels above, right? We are clear that we want to build our student community at the kindergarten level and stay with us. So if a family member said, I really want to go to Beecher Road School, but my child's gonna be in fourth grade, their name appears on the lottery, but they were discounted. So we received the information on the students. There is a level of diversity in a variety of ways, right? With ethnicity. You know, I can't go too far into, family income or things like that, but there are students applying from a diverse population.
I think when we did look at those numbers, it did look like, applicant pool wasn't necessarily representative of new Haven. So we're getting an over-representation of, because we're getting mostly white students who don't qualify for student price lunch. We're actually doing okay. The lottery pool is doing like it's about on par, I think, with Black students, underrepresentation for Latino students. Yeah, overrepresentation. Non-price lunch.
And again, I remind yeah. And I just remind you that there are a variety of reasons that families put their children into a lottery for opportunity.
Yeah, I know we don't have control of the lottery. That's just how it plays out.
But if our goal is diversity, if the lottery is not diversity, but for
Yeah, I think that that's a fair point. I think that's something that we had questioned for a while, and, thank you, Mike, for taking that data and, putting it together in a way that we can see those differences. And I think the question is, I think it's true, we don't have any control over who enters the lottery, and it's not necessarily our purview to decide how we move in outreaches to their family.
Right.
But that is a conversation that we can continue to have with people and continue to have with the behavior. We can't really go in and tell them this is what we want them to do for outreach, but we could suggest based on the numbers and the data we have, that it's possible they're missing some families that could apply for the lottery or would want to, but perhaps don't have the information to do that. And we could capture, the populations that have a decline in who applying for the lottery that way. The question is, do we continue the program while we're working on that at the same time? Is sort of
Right.
like we're on coming at, like not who we accept an open spots to in the community is seen as separate. That seems to be good work that we could continue to do in addition to bringing the students into the community now. And Hartford has had a similar problem. Or had a similar issue with who was entering the lottery, and there were some ways in which that was mitigated there, and actually some state funds that went into helping them to recruit the students that the program is anticipated to reach as well as resources for those students. So, that's something else that would be helpful for the to look into, and if that's something they can
Yeah. I think that fictional pranks. And continue to bring this issue to the we're looking to actually meet the goals of this program, actually
Right.
provide opportunity.
So I think Brandy, first selection that she was out. Second selection she was wants to get certain members of the community might be more comfortable with that network, the cultural setup, to not engage, in choice. And that might be the reason why you're getting these statistics. So we can look at the output and we're missing, so it's an admitted barrier. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm sensing is community barrier. Second order selection. The families are just not selecting it. And they're the families that we want. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think you want both to be at play or one to be at. I don't really know without knowing.
It's already slide. And this is where this is an ACES problem. I agree. Yeah. This is really something that we can write to ACES for the board, can write to ACES about this. But in the meanwhile, I think it's a great suggestion that we carry on. And we do have some siblings that are communities that we free up these laws. I think this is a great program within our community. I think we've seen great students. I think we've got some nice teachers here. We've seen students go through this program. And I think it's a really, really beneficial program to our community.
Okay, Sarah Beth has her hand raised, so we'll give her a moment. Maria Beth, call on Sarah Beth. Give her an opportunity to speak.
Thanks. Just wanted to ask, Vonda, in your opinion, how do you feel New Haven has been as a partner in this whole program? Like, are they, I know we've had some hiccups, but have they been a good partner to this relationship?
So I think the more we build a relationship, the better it gets. And I think that they have been more responsive and respectful to our timelines and our emails and our requests. They're still holding strong to what they feel they should be first with, and we're going to continue to work on that. They do have a new superintendent, and I've given her a few months to get settled, but I have, had a few interactions with her, and I will be having a conversation with her in the spring, and we will continue to, try to achieve all of the goals and get a little bit more clarity for our district. I do think, and again, I didn't see prior to last December, but I did look at historical communication, and I feel like we're in a much clearer place with a more responsive communication pattern. I feel like they, committed to sending their children at our start date and not at a later time. They've worked hard to meet our requests. Except for the financial.
I think it's coincidence.
We do this year, we have 4. And are we reimbursing in a similar manner, paid if necessary? We are not billed for anything. We must not have any special students that are going there. Only for special education. Right.
I was just gonna mention in Cleveland, if I remembered this incorrectly, please correct me, but I know when the leadership team was looking at the qualifications that we needed to meet for the board recognition award. In one of the categories was outreach and our participation on other boards. And one of the suggestions was ACES or RESC, and RESC is more in the Hartford area, but on ACES, and I think Linda said historically, we did have someone who attended their meetings and served as a representative to ACES, so maybe it's something to think about for the future. To help with the lines of communication with ACES and help with some outreach, maybe we can have some input there. We're able to be a liaison and sit in on that committee as well. So that
would be something that might help us in the future. Did I remember that correctly?
You are correct. Sarah Beth? You have your hand raised again?
I do.
Okay.
So I'm sorry if this, can you remind me? I know if we don't participate in open choice, we have to do something else. And I think we very lightly talked about what some of those other options could look like, but I don't remember if we ever really dove any deeper into that. Were there any other things that we came up with that would be options that we could do if we, because of our size limitation, our own students that we need to have room for? What were some of those other options we could do?
So the other options are simply, they're not defined well and they fall within the scope of our district. So we are obligated to find ways to reduce, racial, ethnic, and economic isolation. So we would need to use our resources and our funds to reach out and find schools that would be willing to work with us in partnerships, whether they are sister to sister schools. I mean, there used to be grants for these things, and those grants have pretty much dried up because the avenue that the state has created is the open choice program. So they've created this program and it's out there. We are obligated to do something. So we certainly could look at other alternatives. I will say that, it requires resources of time, personnel, funds. You've got to find willing partners, right? So we're literally knocking on other districts' doors saying, do you have classes that would participate with us on these projects and ideas and field trips? And it becomes something that, we would believe in and do, but we have to manage it. Everything comes at a cost. It's not about the money, it's about what's best for kids, but there would be a cost for that.
I mean, and I understand that. I do think in some ways that would have more relevance and meaning to our students than just having students come from another district that we really probably, I don't want to say that there aren't long-lasting relationships that are being made, but I don't know that many students even know who those other students are. And I feel like we're just sort of trying to fulfill our obligation in the simplest way instead of really making a meaningful bonding relationship that maybe there is something else we could explore. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Sarah Beth.
Any questions?
Yep.
Previously it was noted that cities after opting out of this program, trying to opting out live. We'll find out today.
I have not heard of towns recently opting out. I think there were some a few years ago. I think that, even towns that I'm aware of pretty near us that opted out for a few years for enrollment reasons are now opting back in because they have space to take the children. I think it really depends on a variety of reasons as to why people are opting out. I haven't heard anybody else recently. I've heard of a few districts. I had a few superintendents and other districts call me and say their boards were making the decision to add open choice as part of their program offering. I have not heard of anybody calling me to say we're back to that.
And you mentioned that would probably.
I know for a fact that two of the districts that I spoke with that, I'm constantly asking people questions, constantly. And, we used to, and then you stop, why are you starting back with, we have a space problem, but now we've shifted grade level over, we built a school for our K2 kids, and so now we have space that we can do that.
And we currently say there is a space problem.
Oh, we absolutely have space problem. We absolutely have space problem. At this point,
It's a great argument. continue to exert capacity.
The way I think the issue that has been brought up, I think. So I think Lynn, you raised a really important point. Should use reciprocal ability methods. And that would alleviate at least some of the concern.
Right.
At this stage, we do not have any students in that particular.
Yeah, I would hope that if the case, we
Going forward, that's the way we would handle this. It's the way we would handle this. That makes this, I think, if that's the general secretary is pretty clear on this, uses the word reason. If there's anybody to blame here, it's the person who set that up and set this conflict, if I would argue. But in that vein, we
Very
could work
big.
to the same standard and reciprocate. And that way you can still continue with big students on the program, they can still continue with students on from ours, obviously. But we're just gonna have a reciprocal relationship when it comes to what's built.
Erin,
I would just note that next year in particular, we have our largest grade is leaving the school, and we're probably gonna have our smallest grade coming in because of changes in start dates. So if there was ever any a year that we had a capacity to take these kids, it is next year. The other thing.
maybe be a different story.
It could be. I would say though, that even the year after, you have 120 kids leaving. So, I mean, I think the sixth and fifth grade classes are especially big. And then it seems to go down for a couple of years. So it's just something to consider when we think about how many kids are in the building. The other thing is, knowing some of the families that are here through Open Choice, I do think those kids have developed very foundational community ties with other kids in Woodbridge, and those families have other ties with families here. So I do think to the extent that that we're wondering that, I can speak that at least I know a number of the parents and those kids, and they have very deep relationships that follow them through the Amity school system, that make them stay in our school district beyond Beecher Road School. So it might not be that every kid gets the opportunity to have a friend that's in Open Choice, but I think that for those that do, those relationships can be strong and meaningful and impactful, and can open up their eyes that kids live in different communities.
All set with questions and comments, I think. So I'm going to call the roll for a vote. I'm going to repeat the motion that was made.
Lynn, I just have a question. Is there a possibility to make another
Yeah,
motion?
go ahead.
Can I make another motion?
We have to vote on this motion
Oh,
first.
sorry. Okay.
If that motion fails, you can make another motion.
Okay.
You can suggest a friendly amendment to the motion that's on the floor.
Well, okay. I would like to look into any other option that we could do that would be something new and different, that would also not continue to, I get that we have smaller classes coming in, but this is going to continue to be a problem for us. It fluctuates so much. And we have a lot of students here. We have a very diverse community of our own. And I do think that we should consider what some of those other options might look like. I understand there's costs. I guess I'm a little confused about what actually is, like, what the specific mandate is that we have to fulfill.
Okay, so I would suggest, Sarah Beth, that that's not an amendment of the current. So I'm going to call for the vote on the current motion. If that vote failed to carry, then you can certainly make another motion, which seems to be different than the direction this is headed. Is that fair? Got that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so the motion that is currently on the floor is that we continue participation in the Open Choice program. and adopt the superintendent's recommendation to allocate 18 slots for the 24-25 school year, with any vacant slots filled beginning in kindergarten. Motion was made by Jay, seconded by Maria. Maria,
Yes.
Sarah Beth,
No.
Stephen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Brooke.
No.
Jay,
Yes.
Lynn, I'm sorry, I did not hear what Brooke said.
Brooke said no.
Well, I do. Now.
Board members, I'll remind you, you have to face the little, we got an email about it, you have to face the little bit when you vote. Jeff,
No.
and, I will vote yes. So that motion carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses, 3 noes, Marcia.
Jeff Hughes voted no, correct?
Correct. The no votes were Brooke Hopkins, Sarah Beth, and, Jeff Hughes.
Thank you, that's what I have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, board members. Next on the agenda is, ERS.
Oh, not about.
Yeah.
It's about a suggestion that Sarah Beth made.
Oh, yeah, do
It's nothing.
do you want to make another motion for the future?
I
No,
would.
I was just gonna make, I was just gonna,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make a suggestion that I don't think this precludes us, Sarah Beth, from exploring other relationships.
So maybe we should have
And I
that.
think that's something that we could go forward with at the next meeting, where we
Right.
get a little more information on how that might look. 2 meetings. Beautiful. So, Jen, no, it's- Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay.
So,
I appreciate that, Sheriff, because I support that.
so that, Marcia can get it down. Your motion is,
Oh, my motion is that we explore other options that, for, I guess for next year, this is the, right, we can explore them for next year for,
how about for the future?
sure, for the future for, programs that could integrate with, New Haven, or it could be any other, does it have to be New Haven? I guess it's the closest to us. Would make the most sense.
Okay. Okay, so to explore other options for the future to address diversity. In the district. Is that our
Yeah.
motion? Yes.
Yeah, creating a relation, something that we can do to create a relationship, to develop a relationship that would really become, I think, more like an integral, something that, if you don't have a child in your class, you might not even know that that exists. So something that's more volunteer, community based, something that would, just be a little bit more proactive, or this is a really long.
How does this sound, Sarah Beth? Explore other options for the future to address diversity in this district and create integral relationships with other districts. Does that sound like your motion?
Yes.
Good job, Lynn. That was great. Okay. So Sarah Beth has made a motion to explore other options for the future to address diversity in this district and create integral relationships with other districts. Do I have a second to that motion? Brooke. Is there any discussion about that motion?
This would supplement what we already have. Oh.
Or,
We don't have.
well, we don't actually, right,
Oh.
yeah. Okay, so now we'll, vote on that motion. Maria?
Yes.
Sarah Beth,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Brooke.
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
and I vote yes. That one's unanimous, Marcia. You all set with that?
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all. We're up to, Beecher Road School update. Ms. Sherman, you're on again.
Items for you. I wanted to start by talking about one of my new favorite Beecher Road School traditions that we actually started during COVID. This is one of the beautiful things that came out of our COVID time, which is our Halloween walk. Our kindergarten students come down in their costumes and they stand in the center island, and the rest of the community starts up north and walks all the way around and gets to wave at all the kindergarten students. And gets to see each other in costume. So it's really a really beautiful, fun way to celebrate and be together as a community and see lots of super fun costumes. We have so one little friend dressed up as Indiana Jones. I think the kids didn't know who he was. The adults loved it. There was some really great costumes happening. So that was really, really fun. I also did want to mention, I know the Veterans Day Assembly already came up, but we did in fact have a really beautiful Veterans Day ceremony. Many thanks to Jeanette Clennons. She is a current second grade teacher. Her brother came and spoke to us. And it was a really powerful, wonderful experience. He unexpectedly showed up with PowerPoint presentation and props and everything. The students did a great job listening and engaging. And as Superintendent Tenza mentioned, we're working really hard to make it a student-centered experience. So we had members of student council saying the pledge. We had some sixth grade students sharing sections of their Veterans Day report with the community. We had a student from actually on the violin played a taps, which I've never heard taps played on the violin before. And it was really, really moving. So we tried really hard to make it a beautiful student-centered experience filled with some learning opportunities as well. I also want to talk about our professional development day that we had recently. We were really grateful to welcome Mike Rafferty back into our community. He actually got to work with smaller groups of staff members who did K3 in the morning, 4-6 in the afternoon. And his work is all around literacy instruction. So it was a really wonderful day that we got to be with him for the entire day. Our teachers also got to engage in some CMC training, physical management and restraint training. They also got to engage in some math curriculum work. So there was a lot of different learning opportunities happening. And our specialists had the opportunity, some of them got to go off site. Our PE and health teachers went off site for a training experience, and our music department went off site for a little while. So it was a really great day for all of us to engage in many different tasks and many different learning opportunities. In addition, just my own personal PD, I just want to highlight the fact that Vonda and the literacy team and Carrie Borcherding and I all got to attend the Science of Reading Masterclass. We had another class. And these days are just phenomenal. Our recent special guest keynote speaker was Heidi Mesmer. She is an author and a professor and just an all-around brilliant educator. And they give you just enough time, right, where you get to listen to this amazing individual, like give you a whole lot of information and knowledge. And then they give you a lunch break at the perfect time, right, when your head's about to explode. And then you have the opportunity in the afternoon to talk together as a school community and to get partnered up with other other teachers and staff members in other districts and sort of debrief and talk and plan for the day. So it's a really amazing experience, and I'm really glad to be a part of it. And the other thing I want to just touch on, two more quick things, is that there are new guidelines for teacher evaluation by the state. Other workshops I went to last week was around those professional development and educator evaluation guidelines. And so our committee is meeting. We actually had a meeting today after school, and we are beginning to dig into those new guidelines and think about how we need to impact and change our current plan to meet these new guidelines. It's going to be a lot of work, but we're excited to sort of roll up our sleeves and dig into that. and you'll be hearing more information about that in the coming weeks. And the very last thing I have to mention is that, as you know, we are an Apple Distinguished School. Tomorrow we are having a really amazing celebration. We've got pom-poms and beach balls, and more importantly, we have a lot of technology that will be on display here at Beecher. So we have many special guests joining us tomorrow, and in addition to the assembly where we will celebrate this amazing Apple Distinguished School Award, there will be a robot parade during the assembly. And then all of our students will be demonstrating different pieces of technology, and our guests will be able to walk around and visit that. So our kindergarten students will be working with Osmos. Our grade 6 kiddos will be doing circuits. Our grade 3 students will be working on Book Creator. Our grade 2 students will be doing Nearpod and Puppet Pals. Our 5th graders are going to be showcasing some of their individual work. And of course, the BRS News crew will be up and running and sharing their work that they do all the time. So we're really excited for this day. It's going to be super fun. We're really excited to welcome community members to come and see some of the great work that we're doing around technology. And, you know, a huge kudos to the teachers and the technology department who make this happen every single day.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions about all the wonderful things happening at Beecher Road School?
You said we're welcoming. So can you just clarify?
Yes, there were special invites sent out. Thank you, Erin. We invited special invites. Members of like the Board of Selectmen were invited, the Board of Education were invited. So I apologize, not the entire large community, but we invited very special. The incoming first selectman will be joining us. So we invited some folks, we invited some former staff members, some very specific people were invited to come into the community and see, not the entire parent community, obviously for many, many, many reasons.
That's why to clarify. All right, thank you.
Excellent. Next is math update, and I think that's both of you working together.
So I'll start actually while, Anthony, if you can pull it up or work with Lisa to pull it up. So, you know, I do want to share that the administrators and I continue to carefully consider the board and community interests and concerns around mathematics, especially at the 5th and 6th grade level. We will continue to have additional discussions within the next month, but we do have, as promised, an additional 30-day later update, right? So you try to think about action plans and you think about what can I get done in 30 days? What can I get done in 60 or 90 or 120? So this is our 30-day update. Sometimes you might feel like you can accomplish nothing in 30 days, but you actually can accomplish quite a bit in 30 days if in fact you set your mind to it. So this is a topic that will likely include more immediate to short-term and longer-term strategies, as all curriculum development occurs in stages, takes time, and it takes people. I want to begin, however, by stating clearly and confidently that we are proud of what we have in place at Beecher Road School. We have great evidence that this is a highly successful place for learning. All kinds of learning. We have created, passionate, and compassionate thinkers. We are not perfect, and we have room to grow. However, I do want to be explicit in voicing my support of and respect for what our teachers are doing and how well they are doing. I encourage each of you to remember that this is a unique and special district, and one of which we should feel tremendously proud and grateful. It's also important to remember what Principal Sherman shared at our previous curriculum meeting around Beecher Road School philosophy and practice. It does shape our instructional approach. We value and educate the whole child. It's also helpful to remember in this 30-day update that we are working within resource parameters that are clearly defined for this year. With that said, the administrative and I continue to create or consider creative strategies to ensure that all learners are being stretched and motivated to perform at high levels. Please understand that our instructional decisions are informed by research, practice, and student work. In creating this math update, Principal Sherman has also spoken multiple times with our BOA district leaders as all of our students end up together. I want to share that Lisa will highlight later in the presentation various math pathways available at Amity High School for students who may not take pre-algebra in grade 6 or even in grade 7. I realize that we have many passionate parents that share that this was an important topic to understand, so Lisa will cover that information. It was also shared by Amity leadership that they prefer that our students are not rushed through content as learning gaps crop up later that are instrumental in deep learning concepts. I'm going to share a quote that was shared with me from the administrators up at Amity. The foundational math concepts learned in 6th grade through 8th grade are so critical to higher math understanding that we prefer students don't rush through them. Students with a solid foundation in math concepts actually perform as well or better than students who rush through early mathematics curriculum. I share this as this comment mirrors what we know to be true at VRS, and this belief shapes all of our instruction. Research indicates that the concepts addressed in K-8 mathematics are extremely important, and students need time to learn this content properly. Acceleration approaches that involve skipping standards do put future learning at risk. The math that enabled the vast majority of students to be successful in first-year college courses is actually not math in high school courses, but rather from grades 6 through 8 math and elementary courses, especially working with ratio, proportions, simple expressions, and simple equations. So it's much better for students to nurture that development of solid mathematical understanding in K-8. It's important to highlight this in advance of the presentation that you will see from Lisa, so how closely we examine current practices to stretch and grow the great things that we currently have in place. So when Lisa and I go through this, it will predominantly be Lisa, but we will work together. Lisa is going to highlight some of the resources that we currently have that are helping us do some tweaks. She's going to point out what we have in place as well as what is new since 30 days prior. We anticipate that we will come back to you again, probably in January with additional updates, and then in the spring with our plans for curriculum revisions and additional work. But for the first 30-day update, we thought we would start with highlighting what we have in place and explaining what tweaks we have so that we can extend and enrich and grow some of the practices that we have that we are confident are working.
We just touched on some of this, but this is what we will be addressing in tonight's presentation. And we're going to start with on the next slide, our rationale. And again, Vonda did just mention this, but the first point about acceleration really echoes what we've heard from the administration at the high school level. So I think it's really important to keep in mind that we are building foundational skills here, starting even in kindergarten and working all the way up through our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. And tied to that are the mathematical practice standards, which we talk a lot about content standards in mathematics, which is what the students are expected to know at each different grade level. But the mathematical practice standards are woven throughout all the work that we do here at Beecher. And they're really a critical piece of the work we do here at Beecher. And it's really, the mathematical practice standards are really about developing and building habits of mind for mathematical processes. And really also developing students who are able to think creatively and to problem solve and to persevere and to attend to precision within their mathematics. So there's a lot embedded in those math practice standards that are woven throughout the work that we do here. The other pieces that are mentioned on this slide are really talking about extension and enrichment opportunities and compacting the curriculum. Now, I think it's really important, and again, Vonda mentioned this, that the community understands that here at Beecher, we believe in applying our students' concepts and understanding to grade level content standards and going deeper within those standards. And I think that's a really important distinction that is backed up not only by what we're hearing from our administrators at the higher levels, but also the work around the mathematical practice standards and the work that we just do working with children every day. So as we do have two math specialists, we're very fortunate that we have two math specialists. Their job description is probably about 10 pages long. I'm exaggerating a little bit, obviously, but they do a ton of work. And when you think about our community and you think about how many classroom teachers we have in this building and how many students we have in this building. So those two math intervention specialists are supporting 880-ish students and all of the classroom teachers and special education teachers, etc. So what they do is listed on that screen, but they do provide intervention services. They also do ongoing curriculum work. And what I mean when I say that is that they meet regularly with grade level teams to discuss curriculum. Our curriculum documents are living and breathing documents. We are constantly reviewing them, tweaking them, and that is done with our math specialists. They attend grade level meetings regularly. They push into classrooms regularly. They're co-teaching math lessons. They're working with small groups of students. They're giving feedback to students. They, of course, attend any PPTs and 504s that they are asked to. And then, of course, they work within 6th grade supporting that pre-algebra math class. We're doing really well as a school community in mathematics instruction. As Vonda said, there's always room to grow. But it was due in large part to these math specialists who do this work every single day. So as Rhonda mentioned, we are going to talk a little bit about the pathways up, starting with grade 5. So in grade 5, all of our students stay within their homeroom math class, and they don't departmentalize or switch for anything. The curriculum in grade 5, is compacted. So what that means is that we ask our students to take a pre-assessment, and if they score a certain percentage on that pre-assessment, they are then given a post-assessment. And then those students will move a little quicker through the content that is being covered within the class. At the end of grade 5, all of our grade 5 students, we look at all of their data for the year, and we determine who should take the placement for the grade 6 pre-algebra class. And those students are given the grade 6 pre-algebra assessment. And more information will come out to our grade 5 parents in the future. I want to talk a little bit about what's different right now, as Vonda mentioned, since our last update. So one of the things that is different is that curriculum compacted, which is flexible and fluid and dependent upon each unit of study that the students engage in. The three times a cycle, I should mention, a small group will work with a math specialist within the constraints of her schedule, which sometimes she does have to attend like a PPT meeting or a 504 meeting, but generally speaking, about 3 times per cycle, a small group is working with the math specialist, and it is those students who are identified through that curriculum compacting process. She does provide some work as well that will carry over into the classroom. The students are also receiving differentiated homework on a regular basis. And one of the other things that we have done that is different since 30 days ago is that our grade 4 and grade 5 teachers had the opportunity to have a vertical alignment conversation around some of the extensions and projects that they were doing so that there is no longer any overlap. And they're working on also making our projects and extensions, our extension work, more project-based, which is really closely aligned with our strategic plan. So students are having the opportunity to share their learning in different ways across different projects that they're doing. The grade 6 students do departmentalize, unlike the grade 5 students, and they do departmentalize for all subject areas. Now, that does have an impact on how we structure and schedule our day. Grade 6 students also, and we talked about this before, the ones who did qualify for pre-algebra are given the online platform and a textbook, and they are getting ongoing check-ins from the math specialist 1 to 3 times per cycle. And at the end of grade 6, there is an assessment that our students are given based on their data again, and the middle school actually does that assessment, not us. They hear from the middle school. In terms of grade 6, one of the things that's for our students and our instruction is that the grade 6 is the only grade level that has a specific textbook. And within that textbook, there is opportunities for the teacher to differentiate the assignments and the work that the students are doing. There's an online component to that textbook that allows the teacher to do that more naturally. And I already mentioned the differentiated one. So this is an important slide and addresses one of the questions that was raised at our last meeting. This is the pathways, and it's a little confusing, but if you look at the first column on the left, the traditional math sequence, that is what many of our students, that's the path that many of our students follow. They take grade 6 math, they go to grade 7, they take grade 7 math, they move to grade 8 math, and then they move into algebra, geometry, algebra 2, and pre-calc. That's the pathway many of our students. The one in the middle is a alternative math sequence that our students can take that gets them into, should they qualify for it, algebra in 7th grade, and then they follow the sequence with algebra, geometry, algebra 2, pre-calc, and then calculus in 12th grade. Now, there is an opportunity for some movement. So if a student is in grade 6 math right now, and then they are in grade 7 math next year, they travel to grade 8 math, and then after that, there is an opportunity for it to then take algebra 1, and then a summer geometry class, which will accelerate their math so that they can take algebra 2, pre-calc, and then calculus. So there is some alternative pathways once they get into the high school to get into calculus in 12th grade.
Lisa, I just want to point out that, if you go back to that slide. Thank you. We did not add another column that talks about what if you take pre-algebra in 6th grade, because that already puts you at a calculus track. We're trying to show you the questions from the parents were clear. What if our child is not in pre-algebra in 6th grade? How do they get there? So these trajectories show you alternative ways to get there outside of the algebra in 6th grade. That's why that column of it.
Thank you.
Yep.
So one of the pieces that's really important and speaks to what Rhonda mentioned about educating the whole child is that we really try to ensure that all of our students are given learning opportunities across the day. We take care of our kiddos in a lot of different ways, and one of the ways that we do that is by letting them know that they are all mathematicians. They are all strong mathematicians, they are all strong leaders, they are all strong writers, and everyone looks and learns differently. So when we talk about enrichment for all, that means giving all students the opportunity to engage in compacting by taking that pre and post assessment. All students are given problem solving activities across various grade levels. All students have the opportunity to engage in critical and logical thinking. That's what we do every day at Beecher. We make sure that our kiddos get the opportunity to know that they are a strong mathematician also, even if they are not working with a math interventionist. That's really important to us, and that sort of underlies everything that we do at Beecher. Because the last thing we want is for a student who is 11 years old to leave our school believing already that they are bad at math because their buddy gets to go and work with an interventionist and they don't. So I really want to highlight that because it's important, I think, that we focus on the fact that we are taking care of all of our students. We're supporting the ones who require the enrichment and who benefit from that. but we're also taking care of the ones who can do some of that similar work within the classroom setting and feel themselves that success. So I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that. Moving forward, some of the work that we're going to be doing is we are going to be setting up some. We began last year conversations with the middle school, and we're going to continue that. I actually reached out to the assistant superintendent and Dr. Jason Tracy, the principal over there, and we're all very excited to get our math folks together. So we are going to continue to do that, and we're also going to connect with other high-performing school districts that are doing really well in math to learn and grow with them. Like I said, our curriculum documents are living, breathing, and we are constantly tweaking them, but we are also continuing to look for resources that might support our instruction. We do ongoing data analysis. Our teachers, that's one of the things that our curriculum specialists do, our two math specialists. They meet regularly with our grade level teams to review curriculum-based measures and to talk through data and think about how we can support and impact our instruction. And of course, ongoing professional learning. One thing that we are also beginning to talk about is in the past, we have offered Math Olympiad and Math Counts after school. So we are talking about how we can offer something like that again, either through our own programming or through extended day. So we're having those conversations as well to bring some of those opportunities back. Any questions?
Okay, any questions? Stephen?
Well, more comments. What I very much appreciate about this presentation is how closely I see it as aligning with the SBAC scores, which were shared with us at the last meeting. And what was fascinating to me, kind of taking these conversations into account and looking at them more closely after, is, there was a lot of discussion about how Orange has children participating in algebra in 7th grade. But yet in our comparison district, we are ranked #1 in terms of mathematical performance, and Orange is ranked 14th. So they may be selectively serving a small group of students more effectively, but we, on the whole, are really serving our community well, with 8% points, what have you. And that really speaks to the focus on all learners, the whole learner. And clearly what's come out of these conversations, it's been so wonderful seeing all the parents come out and really talk about this. And it's clear, and there's what I've heard back, I'll just share, is such a commitment by you, by Superintendent Kenza, to the need for greater differentiation. But I think what's also so clear is we're doing something really right, like really right here. I mean, and in fact, even if you look at DERG A, we would rank among the top 3?
Or up there for sure.
By our scores in the state. So I just want to, my position would simply be, yes, I want there to be the opportunity for greater differentiation where it's appropriate, but let's not mess up what we're doing already, because it's a really good thing.
Thank you for saying that. And we agree with that. I mean, I think that we all want to grow and get better, of course. But we are doing some good work here, and it's important to sort of hang on to that and change all of it, because we are doing some very good things here. And it's a credit to the math specialists and all the classroom teachers. They really will.
Thanks for that comment. Brooke, anything? Erin?
Just so to clarify. So I know in one of the slides you had said pre-algebra in 6th grade, but we're not thinking of going back to the co-op class that we had as one.
The pre-algebra class?
Right.
So yeah, that was only this year. Thanks for asking that. It was only this year that we didn't offer it because we didn't have enough students.
Okay.
That doesn't mean we're never offering it again.
Okay.
It just means this year we didn't, because we didn't have enough students qualify.
And just to reiterate, because it wasn't part of your presentation, my understanding is that for kids who take pre-algebra, in order for us to set them up for success, they really need to score a 98 or higher on 5 out of 6 of the SBACs.
Star.
Sorry, I always think it is. So the kids have to score a 98 on 5 out of 6 stars and then also take a test to kind of qualify for the pre-algebra.
Yeah, the middle school criteria is pretty clear. And we did align our pre-algebra criteria to match the middle school. But yes, it's pretty clear. They have to get 5th grade and 6th grade star scores, 98th percentile with 1 score exception.
So it's like, that's a standardization. It's not like teachers in 5th grade get to choose which kids go into pre-algebra in 6th grade, or parents would advocate. There's a pretty standard set. And then, for choosing for the 7th grade, and you may not know this, but do you know how the school differentiates who goes into grade 7 math and who goes into pre-algebra? Do all kids get that test?
Nope.
So who gets that test?
So the student, they look back at data also. So they have their data criteria as well in order to take the test to qualify for the pre-algebra. So they look back at we share our data with them. We get permission to share our data, and we share our data with them. And they look back at all of our data and they identify the students that would benefit from taking that test.
And do we know what their criteria is for that?
Yes, but not off the top of my head.
That might just be something that's helpful to also share so that parents really have like a really clear understanding. And I almost even think this is something that can go up maybe on a website or go somewhere so parents can look back and say, and we can reference it, right? Like we can say, look on our website, I'll send you this link. Here's the criteria for getting into pre-algebra in 6th grade. Here's what your 7th, middle school is going to look like for pre-algebra in 7th grade. So that, because I do think that there's information gets lost in the world. And there is maybe a perception that there's more choice amongst teachers or recommendations as opposed to standardized assessment and tests.
Yeah, it's definitely standardized assessments. I know that the criteria for the middle school is right up on their website, but perhaps we can do something to publicize it better here.
Right, or even, right, this is what we share going in, right, I think as you prepare for 7th grade. The other thing I think that's really helpful to hear is that, right, it's not like where you're placed in 7th grade is determinant for the rest of it. If you are a family that really does want your kid to take calculus in high school, really, it sounds like you just need to know that one summer they're going to have to take an extra class.
Yep.
And so I think it's also important for parents to know we kind of hear tracking, and then you think, well, once I'm on a track, my kid's on the track, they can't get off. So even on that website, whatever website we create, I think providing that information of like, no matter where your kid starts in 7th grade, if you are a family or if your child does want to take calculus, here is what they will need to be prepared to do.
Yeah. And that's also the Amity High School has a very extensive course of studies book on their website where there is a lot of that information on there. It's a lot to read, wade through, but it's definitely there. And I will say that the high school also, just across other content areas, I know we're talking about math here, but across other content areas, they do allow students to move like within up and down levels. And, like there's definitely movement at the high school. You're not.
Might just be harder in math.
Yeah,
Because
of previous
area.
Exactly.
But I think as someone who doesn't have a kid yet in that district, it would like never occur to me to go searching on that page amongst all of that. But if we had a link on our website that says, are you interested in getting your kid ready for learning about 7th grade math? Click here. That would be a new page.
We can do a
Said that I know certain kids who qualify at least for the beginnings. I just wanted to know what can we do? Because it's the beginning of the summer. Parents are told it's going to skip pre-algebra. God tested for 4 weeks. And it's only right into that problem. Oh, it is at that time, so it's great. Is there a mechanism we have here that will support families who are selected by the minister go and take those tests? We have that support. So what I found, this was actually And Ms. Crowd,
Like, here's a link of some
right,
resources.
resources.
Definitely think about that too. I think what's like the middle school I know also has like incoming students do this summer work, you know. I don't know if that was one of the, but we can definitely think about that. I think what's hard is that I've never seen that assessment because it's, you know, it's their assessment and they're a separate district. So I have not like personally reviewed it. So it's hard for us to know, you know, what they're looking for, but we can certainly share out.
There, and you know what?
Right.
I have a question. So our students who are pre-algebra, really, even making it from point B, really have amazing students. And then what I was interested in the standard deviation. The one bit of argument is that most parents complain that night were on the right side of that. Their kids were in the top 3%. And so they're the kids who, in a way, have enough students. The question I want to ask is, other districts, do they use the same high standard that we do? And 5 out of 6 and the 96%. Sorry.
But that's an Amity question. That's not us.
No, so what I'm arguing is that our class, we didn't have a class this year, reality. Right? Are we just setting ourselves up with such a very standard to qualify those students? Because Orange seems to be using a different standard with respect to their internal pre-algebra. Well, I'm talking about elementary school internal pre-algebra.
I think we have to be careful because I think what has happened historically is that kids took pre-algebra without having that 98. And then they had to repeat pre-algebra in 7th grade. So that's not fair to those families or those kids. So if Amity is setting up a standard, then we just have to respond to their standard. If people want to go advocate for Amity to change their standard, that's different. And if they change it, then we can align ourselves with that. But right now, like, they kind of hold all the cards when it comes to who can take what classes in 7th and 8th grade. We just have to ensure that we are aligned.
Been through the system, I saw the friction. What I saw is they had their standard. We were meeting a pretty high standard. What I felt is that right tail of the distribution wasn't getting what they needed to meet their standard. So I think there needs to be a little more coordination on both sides to see that if we do have a select on they do get the full support. If they do qualify for that pre-algebra, it's all about the support and communication. I think they're in communication. The website, I think it's something. But parents here don't need to go to the high school. I went to high school for this information. I'm going to be honest. I think we need that communication. That communication is critical. So we do have a high performing list.
And to Jay's point, I do think we need the committee. It will be worth asking them if that 98 percentile is in line with the school.
Mhm.
Because I will say, I'm surprised that we have a high school where it seems like if you go through the regular route, so few kids seem to be teaching them. And I would have assumed that we would have a larger population within our nexus of taking calculus. And so I would think that instead of 98%, maybe 95 or 93, like, why do they choose that 98 percentile? I guess is my question. It seems pretty exclusionary at pretty young.
That's what what's the criteria? Sticking at 98%. I get the 5 out of 6 to a degree. My kids don't have bad days. Sorry, I do get that, but the 98%, I like to see the logic behind the evidence behind it. So I think I'll help us. So we do have a good right tail.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's hard. Right. To do 5 out of 6, these are 5th and 6th graders, and there's lots of other variables with test taking. And I'm afraid we may be missing some students. Maybe there could be a range that they have to reach within 5 or 6.
And again, we do have to align our standards with what Amity is suggesting, but perhaps that's a conversation we could explore further, with them about what that criteria is. And again, it just speaks to how this issue isn't just our district, but is in the coordination of our district with Amity. And I think as for a 30-day response, I think you've done an amazing job of really highlighting some of the steps that we're taking to address this. So I thank you very much. There's a lot of work that went into this list to do that for our students. I think a point that I was going to bring up was about the 5X, the 6, and the higher test scores. I get what they're getting at and the consistency of the work and the consistency of the effort needed to go into that higher class. But I do think that we can still keep in mind that they're 5th and 6th graders, and there may be other variables at play with the test taking. And I also think it's certainly not our problem to solve, but something to think about. When we talk about the, Erin, you mentioned the relatively smaller group of students that make it to calculus for two very high performing districts, that we need to make the public education equitable. And if it is required that in order for you to reach that, you have to go and take a class where you may need to take a summer job or a class that you might have to pay for, that opportunity needs to be offered to more students. And maybe that there's a way that the districts can work together to make sure that that's an equitable opportunity for everyone in the district. So, yeah, Bond just reminded me that we did have a presentation last December on pre-algebra eligibility. So you can bring it back out and we could share, and you can go back and in board voting that. So
No, I think we know that we've had it. The question is, can we have a conversation with Amity around why that's their eligibility guideline? And whether they would consider changing it, and if that's been standardized with other school districts. It seems exceptional enough, is what I'm saying. I think there are many other districts where more kids are taking calculus, right?
Mike and Jeff and Todd.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say, thank you for doing this. So, initially when we're having this conversation, and you're thinking about, okay, what should we for next year? And you came back and said, well, actually, make some of these changes and improvements this year. So I really appreciate you being that responsive and responsive to the community as well, getting out, raise a lot of concerns. I just have a question about whether these approaches that you were talking about for 5th and 6th grade, are they being done, implemented now for the 6th grade compact curriculum, and the opportunities are being given with online instruction and pre-calculus material being done now with the students? Okay. And then for next year, it sounds like we're going to still need to make a decision about what we're going to do about advanced instruction. Are we going to still stick with that pre-algebra class? Or is that not advisable given?
So the only reason we didn't offer the class this year is because we didn't have enough students qualify for it. It was never our intention to eliminate the class completely. It was just this year we didn't have enough students to run it. So, weighing all of the work that the math specialists do, we opted to not run the course for the limited number of students, but it was never our intention to eliminate pre-algebra. So our intention is for our current 5th grade students to be given the same opportunity to take the pre-algebra placement test, if those that meet the criteria, and then the students that qualify will be offered pre-algebra next year.
Okay, so
should we have enough?
If we have a large.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And I apologize if that was not clear, but it was not our intention, from what I know, to eliminate the course permanently. It was just because this year we couldn't run it with so few students.
And Principal Sherman did also say that she will be talking with, the sixth grade team and special education teachers really to look at, there used to be, I think I might have touched on this, an advanced math class, an accelerated math class for sixth grade. That was kind of like a step in between sixth grade math and pre-algebra that did exist prior to departmentalizing.
And
So-
prior to pre-algebra.
Correct, it was correct. So those are questions that we need to look at this spring in terms of capacity. What does it look like if we, continue to like compartmentalize instruction? Is it something that we can do? What would it look like? We're not sure, but that is something that we are also looking at to study.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I don't know how I feel about the skipping sixth grade. It seems like a big jump to me. I'm a little skeptical about kids not needing to know that material if they qualify for pre-algebra. And so I just think we should come back around to that and think about what the best solution might be. Which is, I think we definitely need to have an option for these kids who are at the higher end of the spectrum to have. I'm worried about the skipping entire year of material.
That would be.
Yeah, no,
More days passed, but it is.
The question I'm hearing is they're not with performance, whether this is a good idea. Really like to see the data.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, I'm speculating, but I could totally. Right. That's good. Where are the best practices?
I'm okay. Thank you for the rapid response. And maybe really nice. Quickly just. Now you're sort of telling us that, we're moving this in. Have that sixth grade got the same level of instruction in other?
Thank you, Brad.
That's very concerning. That's one of the.
Yeah. So I will say that the sixth grade teachers were working to support the substitutes that were instructing in the math content area. And I will also say that the plans that were given were provided by the teacher before she resigned. And I will also say that now we made a switch in sixth grade so that a different sixth grade teacher, instead of a substitute, is now teaching math. And it's a veteran educator who has been at Beecher for many, many years, and he has stepped in and he is now taken over the math instruction.
Which I really appreciate this 30-day feedback. I would suggest that sixth grade everything that it would do something similar where you come back and in 30 days time to give the parents that group
That will
the
be part of.
information that they need.
Lisa, thank you so very much. Wanda, thank you. Lots of hard work. I want to talk. All right, moving on to the Beecher Road School Town Building Committee update. Mr. Hughes.
Okay, we met to review the estimate of the new project. Anthony's already asked through the board of what. We're hoping to get that the ground project is not included, so we kind of pivoted on that and ground focus of the project. And it was recommended that we go back to the facility committee and prioritize groundwork with young, which we did, I guess, to address my facilities update. So then we reconvened town building committee on the 20th. And we are looking to pass this through to the Board of Selectmen after tonight's vote, if I'm saying that correctly, and then December meeting. Okay, so that's where we stand. So a footnote, the rapid timeline, kind of crunch time. We have a series of steps to follow after the summer, so we'll be on to the whole process.
Right, so it needs to go to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Selectmen sent it to the Board of Finance, the Board of Finance sent it back to the Board of Selectmen, and all of that needs to happen so that we can move forward on state reimbursement, which is 10th of January. And in order for us to make some movement here and get a contractor in place by the end of March, so that the roof can be replaced next this coming summer. So it is a very rapid timeline. Jeff has been really pushing on it, asking great questions. David Stein and Silver Petrocelli has been working with us, and I don't know. Do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, just
About the date stuff, I don't know.
yeah, well, we're gonna be putting the roof educational specs before you guys are approval tonight, which is kind of one of the things that we have to tick off the list on our marching towards our grant application, but not school construction anymore, kind of rebranded themselves. But they have a new name. So yeah, you can apply by the 10th of every month for the non-priority projects. Yeah, and so we're just gonna march through our little list of things to do. The last one of which will be to get our funding in place. And so the quicker we can do these things, the quicker the town can have a town meeting or a referendum or how propose that we pay for this. And
That will be a decision made by the Board of Selectmen. Whether it's a referendum vote or special town. Gotcha. Okay. So tonight, what we need to do so that this information can go to the Board of Selectmen is to approve the education specifications pertaining to the roof replacement, because that's what is going to be reimbursable. The site work, we do not believe we are going to any state reimbursement for.
And I did talk to the state about that today. And that was a correct assumption. Okay. But we can get 22% of the roof. Great, reimbursed. But do you have a motion to make on that?
Yeah, I make a motion that we move to approve the education specifications pertaining to the roof replacement project as presented by Silver Petrocelli for submission to the town building committee. Yes.
And do I have a second? Maria? Okay, is there any discussion on that motion? Great. Okay. I'm going to assume that this is gonna be just a raise of a hand, so I don't have to call everyone on this call Sarah Beth. All those in favor? Okay, at the table, it's unanimous. Sarah Beth?
Yes.
Okay, Marcia, that's the unanimous vote by the board. Thank you. Okay, facilities committee. That's you too, Jeff.
Okay, facilities. Where we met November 2nd. Did an excellent job going over his list of repairs he's making in house from exterior light. The expansion joint, the K-wing, something found the lost any problem there was awesome. Talk about the PA system upgrades in process. The circuit board in the elevator, which I might add is 20 years old, was also replaced. Also maintaining, roof repair on the rotunda, which is not part of the roof project, I might add. Keep that in mind, that's not part of the roof project, but there is a current leak in the rotunda, which I believe is finally solved. It just shows the extent of repairs that are upcoming here, other portions of our roofs. And then we went into a capital budget discussion where we updated some costs and also a much better timeline thanks to assistance, which is awesome. Jay has good input on that. And then we followed up with an exterior tour of future road schools. Nothing new to report as expected, the issues still exist, more so now than we saw in the last. And also met, let me get this correct, we met a special meeting on November 8th, that's for the direction of the town building committee. That's to prioritize the exterior fixes along the school through the Fuss and O'Neill report. Also, again, thanks to Jay's guidance, this question why were you doing this? Because they were all important. So now the committee recommendation was to move forward with the Fuss and O'Neill report as presented, with the addition of pre-work added. So that was brought to the town building committee on the 20th. So I think we're all on path now to that Board of Selectmen in December.
And I'll add that, Fuss and O'Neill, they're professional, prioritize what was a high priority, a medium priority. I don't think you give it too much that was a low priority out there, but I'm planting, yeah.
They did a great job
But
prioritizing.
We felt, the city felt, that the professionals had done their job prioritizing, and that we were not in a position to change those priorities in the road. So we'll note the letters that Vonda sent to the building committee, which they discussed at their meeting on Friday. Any questions on facilities?
I think I just want to commend Jeff and Donna. They really followed this through all the way. I think it's excellent. And we really need all of the items that are on that list.
Not there yet.
We need all the items on that list.
And thanks also, okay, I'll piggyback on your thanks, Vito as well. I've been out in the rain, walking with the Tucko and O'Neill people, showing them the issues that we have and bludgeon through with his boots on. So we thank you, Vito, for that too. Okay, good work, facilities, people all the way around.
Was this capital budget finance?
Finance is gonna be capital budget, yeah.
Okay, and I think that Donna, very important point, Donna's done a great point where she's put what's originally the question and when it was. But you'll see is some of these items were the question. Oh, sorry, is that where that one goes?
He's gonna speak.
As you go. All right, put that one.
I'm ready.
Yes, it's so yes.
It's a nice segue. Yeah, and then we'll get to the good stuff.
Thanks.
So, credit is always to Donna, who clearly keeps us all on track. Fiscal year is 33% complete, across all categories. The budget projected savings currently are 294,000. Of course, it's still early in the year, so we're not going to jinx ourselves, but better to be in that position. In 100 series, we've got salary savings of approximately 111,000 due to teacher turnover, half-time school psychologist position that's not filled, and we're now currently down 3 paras. On the flip side, this budget line does include the unbudgeted SRO, school resource officer, but there's still very positive net savings. 200 series benefits are on track. 300 series, we have professional savings of about 138,000, which is due to the move to having a school resource officer who is not being paid for through the department. 500 series other purchase services. We currently anticipate a small savings in workers' comp and liability insurance, as well as internet expenses, which nets us about 15,000. Right now, furniture and equipment, 700 series, we're in the green by 37,000 because we were able to spent 45,000 pre-buying Chromebooks with the fiscal year 23 surplus. However, we've also committed 8,000, if you're comparing month per month, for additional technology purchases. 800 series dues and fees are on track currently, as are 900 series miscellaneous expenses, which is primarily the ESER and nurse. On the higher end of the ledger, we've got the 400 series purchase property services are currently projected to be about 15,000 over budget. We need to purchase some window doors for special education classrooms, and we had an unexpected $11,000 copier leasing cost. We're not in terrible shape there. Materials and supplies will be slightly over currently by about $2,000 due to the need to purchase testing supplies. That said, everything else was pretty much on track on. I don't know if anyone has questions on, other specific line items on the budget before we go on to capital budget, which isn't my daily book anyway.
That's gonna be done. I'm just going to remind the board that this is just talking about the proposal tonight, that the action on accepting the capital budget and sending it forward to the town will be on the agenda for the regular December 18th Board of Education meeting. So tonight is our first look-see, and then if there's any questions, you can send them in to Donna and Vonda, and we'll have our answers before we have to vote, because we'll have the special meeting on December 11th, and then.
And that's different than last year because we have a little extra time this year.
Right.
The town told us they don't need the capital budget as quickly as they previously have because they're slowing down for the new board, like the numbers.
See both budgets at the same time.
No, we're gonna.
Well, you're
see
seeing this
capital
one now.
tonight,
But you,
but we're gonna vote on capital December 18th.
but if you have a question, you can certainly answer that. Or not. Yeah, we can vote later.
Oh, we can. We can say.
That's what we was on today. Thanks.
Great to see the operating budget with the forward tonight too. We're not gonna have that over. Okay.
Because we're gonna see it on the 11th, and we're gonna vote on it that first week of June. Okay, Don, you're on.
Okay, so Anthony, you got, there we go. Thank you. So we have a list of projects. How we went through this at finance committee is we sort of, is that too small for everybody? Okay. So the three, I'm gonna kind of just read down these items and then, should I go through the sheet and then, yeah? Okay. So this is a list of the items and what our cost estimates, what year we're suggesting it get paid for, the area of the school that the issue is in, the type of issue it is, and as far back as the records that I can tell, when this sort of popped on our list of requests.
Appreciate that.
So that was
Right.
Jay's suggestion.
That was a great suggestion.
Excellent.
So, and the highlighted green items here are the ones that are kind of in progress. If our roof and our drainage and paving improvements, end up being a go. So, okay, so you can scroll one slide for me, Anthony. Here we go. So, yeah, so this is our roof. It hasn't been repaired. This is over the D and the K wing, hasn't been, repaired. It's
one of them is 1997, the other wing is, D wing is 1995. This is our estimate from Silver Petrocelli. You just approved the ed specs, so hopefully we'll be in business with that. The next slide. Everybody knows we have water incursion areas in our building. It's a little mind blowing that no matter where you are in the building, you can look out and see that you're at the bottom of a hill. And so, you know, a lot of the water comes down toward our school. So part of the Fuss and O'Neill report is to find ways to new drainage improvements, grading, planting vegetation, keep these hills from eroding.
And this is an estimate.
This,
Because they're gonna work. on
this is an old estimate. We are getting cost estimates from them now.
Because they're based on our Friday meeting, going to update.
That's right. And hopefully we'll know in advance of going to the Board of Selectmen, but you know.
When did this estimate?
2020, 2021, you know, so, yeah. The roof was 2.5, right?
So,
Good to show that too.
yeah, the difference, the longer you wait.
It is.
Right.
Exactly. Next, project there. Okay, so here we are. We have our, you know, cracked up north parking lot. And, you know, some of these don't even do it justice. These paved, little paths side of the exterior doors of the classrooms, you know, these are our emergency egress for things. And, you know, you couldn't push a wheelchair over that, you know, it's just, it's not safe and we need to have it fixed. Next slide. Oh, right, you were great. We have some, maybe Vito, I'll let you talk about it, where the asbestos is that needs to be abated under some floor tiles and under a sink in the art room.
Yeah, we've done a lot of abatement over the years here, but we're down to our last set of the 9x9 tiles. So our south art room still has them. One of the landings down on our loading dock still has them. And a couple of the associated areas near them have carpeting that we want to tear up, but it's one of those things at the recommendation of our asbestos management company that we don't sort of project adjacent to where the tiles that are flagged are, just in case you pull up the carpet, you find something under it, then you're halfway through a project and you go from a carpet replacement to now you're in a surprise abatement. So we've bundled this together. I believe we presented this last year also to the town. It's just basically our one of our final pieces of getting that 9x9 flooring out. And then if we complete that, that'll open up, you know, carpet replacements in the band room, the ramp, the last few of the aged permanent carpets that are in the building in the south school.
They kept cupcakes with a turtle, you know, it's just kind of smelly in there. It needs to, you know, we need to get that carpet out of there and you know, put some nice flooring.
Yeah, and right now all this is located from the south art room down, if you know the way the building layout is. So our north school, all the classrooms were abated up there. There's no 9x9 tiles up here. It's just these last few spaces that, you know, it's getting there. And the art room also, some of the casework is rotting and falling apart. And to be able to do the casework replacement, you'd want to fold in the abatement, because to pull the casework out, you're going to be disrupting the tiles. So it's kind of a domino effect of you want to do it all at once as opposed to. Yes, it's probably done. Yeah, I would say it's done.
Okay, next slide. Yeah, here are 3 more classrooms that have not asbestos, but just this old 9x9 cracked tile, you know, things catch on them, can be a bit of a tripping hazard. So we are going to request that we can replace these with the no wax non-stripping, no wax floors, which not only would save us in chemicals that we have to buy, but some of the time that we Vito's guys, it takes them, 3-4 days to do a room. Whereas if they had another product in there, they could take that down to a day. So here's our fire panel. You probably see it in the lobby of the superintendent's, when you come in that south entrance there. It's very old. It kind of reminds me of like Star Trek or something. But this panel is no longer, they don't make the parts for this panel anymore. We did have a vendor that had some used parts from other people who discarded this thing that they could, use if we ever got into a problem. But our most recent conversation with them is that they no longer even have those parts. So this is a real risk that we, if we were to have a problem with this panel, we probably couldn't have school. We need to replace this panel ASAP. Over 27 years old. The dust. So yeah, so we think this is a very high priority. And the next slide, these are our poured rubber surfaces around the playground. Vito's crew, they do a good job of patching them over the summer, but we really would like to plan for the eventual, replacement of them. We're thinking maybe FY27 to do that. Maybe by then, maybe we'll know if there's going to be any sort of a building project here. So maybe we'll do a couple more summers of the patches, but hopefully plan for the eventual replacement of it. Next is there, so how many years ago, Vito, was it where we replaced maybe half the casework in the S-Wing?
I believe the summer of 2017,
okay,
they did a series of casework replacements in the S-Wing. We had a turnover in the facilities, and I forget what led into the summer. We ended up doing some HVAC work the following summer, so I'm assuming that our target ended up being to do with HVAC stuff, and then the casework kind of fell off the plate, but it was a half completed project.
Are hoping to be able to finish that work and replace the casework of the one. I think there's 6 or 10. How many haven't been finished yet?
I have to get an exact number. There's a handful around the S-Wing. This is mostly South School, and there's one D-Wing classroom opposite the nurse that still has the old casework.
Requested like $10,000 a year, just chip away at them till we can get them done. And
Sorry, Vito, does it make sense to do this?
in one fell swoop, if
It's the economies of scale.
yeah. And other things, I have heard that we had tended to ask for things in one bigger price. This one, didn't we do some in-house stuff?
The timeline was they purchased them, and the installation at the time the facilities manager moved on. So he was supposed to be doing the install. So at that point, I was a custodian at the time, but there wasn't a facilities manager, and we brought in a handyman to install those over the summer. And then from there, that was basically, we moved on from the casework, because I believe that was bad memories, the freeze up winter. I don't know if you remember that one. I think that was the freeze up winter. And then we moved into looking into the HVAC hiccups from the renovation, and the casework kind of fell to the back burner over, the HVAC issues we were having.
So, yeah, if the board thinks it's a better idea to just lump it all together and put it in a year, I'm happy to make that adjustment. We just want to get them done. The next slide is we'd like to request some funds for the painting of the exterior building, or at least the portion in the south. I don't know if these pictures, can do it justice, but it's, that especially that like a wooden board at the top that the birds end up burrowing into, and it's chipped, and it's hard for Vito's guys to maintain it. And then you can see there's areas where, like, I don't know, if like that downspout was moved or something, but it's just the paint's all gone from that area. And we've got vines growing, and yeah, we need to paint the exterior of the building, at least portions of it. What do you think are the you said there's parts that we don't have to paint. There's window,
the
stone.
North School, we redid the window walls during the renovation, and those don't need to be painted. The 97 edition, which is like the North School, the cafeteria, they did nice stone, so that has like zero maintenance basically for us. It's mostly that 1970s is be coming up, but this 1970s edition of the S Wing and the South School. There's just, it's painted cinder block, and these numbers we will have updated. I'm supposed to be meeting with a painter that did our South Gym in the next week or two, and we're going to try and break it into phases and look at different areas, maybe try to get some more accurate numbers, because these were from a site assessment we did some years back, but that was a large number with a large scope for a big project, whereas hopefully we get somebody in, maybe they'll have a different set of eyes on it, and we can have updated numbers with a more sequential timeline on what we should do for it.
And again, we're suggesting that couple years out, just knowing that by then we will know if we're doing any chopping into the building or anything like that. This is the unit ventilators, which produce heat in the hallways, walking up the ramp in school, and they're working, but we just know that they're 30 years old or more, and they are eventually going to fail, and we just want to plan for that. Again, if we don't have heat in the hallways, we will have unhappy staff and students. So just some of these things are like, yeah, things are working now, but we just don't want to be the only ones that have this knowledge that we have just some really old things that need to be addressed in the building. And then let's see. What am I looking at here?
That's the
elevator. Thank you. That's the elevator. So that's really not the elevator. So that's the panel of the elevator. That's the thing that costs all the money. Sorry, I'm a little cold, and I just throat is so dry. This is another, when you talk to the repairmen that Vito brings out occasionally, they'll be like, oh, you have the Ascension 2000. I don't think there's another Ascension 2000 working in the state of Connecticut. And you're like, hey. So they, again, it's this point where they no longer make this unit, or they don't make the parts for it. They've told us that if things fail, we're going to have to take them and send them out to be repaired, and then hope that when they come reinstall it, that it will work. That sounds like a lot of downtime, and this is how we get our inventory, our cafeteria groceries up from our freezer, up to the cafeteria. So it's a pretty heavily used everyday important piece of equipment that is pretty old and obsolete. So again, we're not asking to fix it today, but we would like the town to at least put some money aside in the capital fund for the day when that day comes, and we have to.
Make a recommendation. Set up to. Yeah, that be something we might want to think about as an option sometime. Which extends a needed.
If they ever do plan for projects like that, and with interest rates kind of what they are, might be the time to do that, you know? Or where it would make more sense to do.
I think it's strategic sense, it starts down, this foreign has to go down. You have capital projects at that time, you do those, and not have to do them when you need them.
Right. For expensive things, you know, that makes sense. And then, Carrie, are you still here? Carrie Borcherding?
I am.
You want to talk about this?
This is my
request?
favorite thing ever. I'm so excited. We do need to give a little facelift to our playground in terms of thinking about, our students with special needs who may need some adaptive equipment. This is one piece of equipment that I just adore because everyone can use it. It is not just like an adaptive swing. This would be a adaptive merry-go-round. It is flush with the ground, so multiple students can ride at the same time. There are a couple different options. There's a playground that I take my kids to that they just love, and it has spots for wheelchair seats. It has bench seats for their peers. It pushes at a slower pace than like the metal death traps that we used to ride as kids. And it's not, like you can't get your fingers underneath or any of that because it is like flush with the ground. So you can pull the wheelchairs in and out and lock them in. So there are a couple different options. They are not cheap, but they are absolutely an inclusive material that I think if we could get one on the North Playground, that would be a great place to start. But ultimately, at some point, I think looking at having something like this on both playgrounds would be really beneficial to all kids. There are some more local playgrounds that have some equipment like this, but that was something we talked about. So it's not just like a swing that one or two students can use, it's something everyone can use.
Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, and that's all we have right now is, or adaptive playground equipment is swing, so, kind of a fun thing.
I mean, there's definitely some other equipment too that can be added as well, like that you can pull up chairs too, and some other like musical equipment and things. But this was a really good place to start that everyone could have a movement activity.
One that you showed us, Carrie, that had like 2 benches and then 2 wheelchair hook-ins, or
Yeah, there is one. There's one. It's like my favorite one out of the ones I've seen, but I can't figure out if it's not manufactured now or if we can't get it. So that's why I put these on there. So like the top picture, you can pull 2 chairs into that one. And then there is the bench seat, the middle one where it's got kind of the dome top picture that has 3 access points for wheelchairs, and then you would just like lock the chair. They don't go fast enough that you have to worry about the chair moving. And there are bench seats in between, and then there are some other ones where there's like 2 other like wheelchair lock-in. My preference, given that like the number of students and kind of having the seating option, would be the one that's kind of domed. But I know some of it's financial and what we can get and what we can order. So that's where that kind of lands.
and then the last one, I don't, is the space planning, and we kind of just talked as a group in finance committee that really the only thing we could say here is to be determined. We know there's going to be a big price tag attached to whatever we do, but hopefully it will be a project that can go forward through the state and get some reimbursement for it. But we just wanted to bring it forward to the town as something that is needed and will be a request. So maybe let's go back to the front page, the summary page again, Anthony. The playscape was kind of added in finance committee Carrie had put it in her operating budget and we moved it in here. We, they're kind of prioritized, but, you know, that's open for discussion. If people want to suggest moving things around or suggest years or how we stream out the fund requests, maybe we just open the floor for discussion on some of those things. Well, thank you for your hard work on that. Vito, thank you for your contributions. Facility committee, thank you for looking at it, finding. Do you want to start with anything? Stephen, do you have anything you want to add?
No, actually, I think the prioritization, I think was key. The date's brilliant. And really a lot of this is, you know, just the rationale that if you're going to fix the roof and not fix the drainage, like that doesn't make sense. You really have to do those things in conjunction. So, you know, there are certain elements that could be pushed off, but the reality is, regardless of where we land in terms of future space needs, this facility is still going to exist, you know, and it's a valuable town asset. So it behooves the town to address the key maintenance issues in a timely way. You know, the sooner the better, and as has come up in conversation already, the longer you wait, construction costs are not going down, they're only going up. And these kinds of projects are only going to be close. So
we'll deliver that message as we, you know, present to them.
yeah, but I mean, in terms of kind of ensuring that all of this is in one place, I think this is really important. And you know, for example, with the ADA equipment, you know, recognizing the fact that we're not really serving children with physical disabilities at this point is not good. And this is an opportunity to signal to the town that this is something that will ideally we can address in the shorter term, but certainly will be critical to address if we're moving to a next generation, so institution.
Again, I want to say thank you for the research it took to find all of that information, the historical information, and thank you for your presentation. The way it's presented with just the purpose and the background and the objectives to all of that, I think it's appreciated. It really helps for a deeper understanding, and that was a huge lift. So thank you. My only thought, I echo what Stephen has said. My only other thought about moving forward, you know, with regards to your question about prioritizing of projects other than, you know, what the building committee is working on right now, changing years, combining years. I really think that in order to do that the most effective way possible, we really need that information about the life cycle analysis of our building and kind of what direction we're moving in with any type of capacity expansion for Beecher Road School. And so I think Finance Committee for December is going to look at that second proposal that we have for a consult, and it will come to the board in December 18th for that board meeting. And I think moving forward, if with looking closely at those proposals, making sure that they are going to get us the information and get us to where we need to be. But if that is the case, moving forward and getting those ed specs, getting that feasibility study so we know what our options are moving forward is going to help us prioritize them. Because I mean, even one of the right before the ADA, when we talk about the outside of the building, I wouldn't necessarily know if I want to put money into fixing that unless I know if that would be a potential site of expansion.
We did suggest that we're doing that in 27 and 28, but you're right. Yeah,
right.
That's why we put it out.
That's why we put that there. You know, so I just wanted to reiterate. I think it's important to kind of that information, so that we can most effectively plan out when we're going to take those steps with regards to the physical structure of the building. Our Ascension 2000 and our, bat phone for the fire department certainly needs to be addressed regardless.
Right.
And I suggested that the phone goes to the historical society.
Oh, I think
Or to Vito's office. Yeah, definitely. Jeff, anything?
No, actually, we're Like mine 3 hours. Only the windows.
Would you like us to, yeah, we could talk about looking, I mean, the rest of our room just got a B or something recently, right? But we should put, if it's gonna be within the next 5 years, if any of it, 20, 25 years old by then, we should add it on there after there.
I agree that.
Extra 20 years when we ask again, that we originally added.
Right. Mike, anything? Okay, Brooke, anything?
I just wonder where you start the week.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to buy merry-go-round than it is to buy a party pot. Yeah, anything?
Suggestions, you know, upstairs. I think you can, please, upstairs. You put in. Are they gonna be?
If it's,
If
okay,
it's anything less than 4, I think what we said 2.5, right?
Yes.
So when I look at a capital budget, I really want to know what we're actually spending. And so to have 4-year-old or 3-year-old, even
Yeah.
2-year-old,
Now-
today, in this inflation environment.
some things we, like with the casework, because 5 years ago, we did 2 rooms for $15,000, then I would be like, okay, 5%, 5%, 5%, I would try to update them myself. Yeah.
Great to just get updated. Or to get a number on the side that tells me, I was done in 21, I was done in 22.
Yeah.
So the town also knows.
I mean, I speak to a lot of these companies right now, other than the highway department town project, the abatement work, we put that forward last year, that's probably the next 12 months, under 24 months, that number. The flooring replacement, those are new numbers that are. So we went so that's what we flooring type. The fire panel, that was in the last 12 months. The board rubber needs to be updated, that was probably 2 years ago. The casework does need to be updated, with those over numbers.
We bumped them up though, but
Yeah, yeah.
sufficiently, but.
And the elevator well, that's 12 months.
Oh, that's good.
If we add, a lot of these fairly new plans.
I mean, and the elevator, it doesn't touch the car, it's just the
Yeah, and
guts,
Somebody did say since we did bought. I bought a little less. We did save a little money.
And we did the panel, and it's been less problematic since then.
We're basically placed before we stop. And stopped our well, the elevator company now, they're running a lot better than what the past several years, that upgrade. But it's just another, and actually, the elevator company is the only one I haven't had an email from on new price or, just a new setup. They basically said, sooner than later.
Be on it.
Not me, because I take the chair.
You wouldn't.
One thing that. Looking at this, 25, 26, 27, I see 3 million. 25. About 3 million really was a commitment for 24. Think about this.
Right, part of that, right.
We want that to move out just to show the facts we commit. And then it's normalized in 25, 26, 27. Does that make sense? I just wouldn't want to go in and say it's 3 million, because if I saw this, I would take off the bottom 7 things straight away. Because I would say I'm already giving you. Just
I'm-
presentation.
things to drop off,
No,
you know, we don't have the money.
where there's a
Yeah.
town building committee, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna make another column that's, you know, current year, I won't call it, I won't just say FY 24 because it won't be in our budget. Yes, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, good suggestion, Jay.
But that's gonna take off,
But two and a
Two,
half, yeah,
yeah.
2.5. Instead it normalized to what capital needs. Is it, I call it a recommit, that's what you're on now.
And the town
and
building
we
committee
hope to
works.
enter the contracts this year, you know, that they will be this year's expenses, you know, but I just didn't want them to drop off, you know, before we have the commitment.
If I saw this, I think, to be honest, I would just say, those three are already being committed. I can take the rest stuff, and that's
Yeah.
not convey, we want to convey something to pre-commit. These things we need this year. in
Right, and
2025.
I think if it ends up being bonded for, they don't, it doesn't count as the capital budget, you
Okay,
know,
so they take it off
that's
there?
funded by the
Okay,
tax roll.
which is why I put it separate.
Yeah.
That's-
Aaron, anything? This, now, I remind you that this is, sitting here for the next month for us to look at it, think about it. Let's, then, ideas, questions, comments to Donna and Vonda, and we'll review it again. Opportunity to, be thoughtful about this. So thanks for that. Policy committee.
Thank you.
Marie.
So policy, we have two policies that are up, for a vote that have been on 30-day review. Both of them are mandated policies for us to consider from PAVE. The first is policy 3542.41. This policy is a food service professional standards for food service personnel. And really what it does is it, the Healthy and Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010 and Public Law 111-296 required some changes in the nutrition program. They required some continuing education. And so this puts into policy the fact that we are implementing that continuing education for our school lunch personnel. So I would like to make a motion that we adopt policy 3542.41, food service personnel professional standard as presented.
Second. Brooke. Okay, I'm going to do just raise our hand. Oh, is there any discussion? Thank you. All those in favor? Sarah Beth?
Yes.
Good. Unanimous, Marcia.
Thank you. And then the second policy, policy 4113.12 is the minimum duty-free lunch periods for teachers and certified staff adoption. This is a policy that is now with Public Act 2280 mandated to be in our policy manual. We are already in compliance with our teacher contract with this policy as well. So this just codifies it in our policy. So I'm going to make a motion that we adopt policy 4113.12, minimum duty-free lunch periods for teachers and other certified staff as presented.
Second. Stephen. Motion made by Maria, seconded by Stephen. All those in, discussion? Discussion? All those in favor? Sarah Beth?
Yes. Yes.
Unanimous, Marcia, thank you.
And policy meets again in December.
Great, thank you. Cape liaison report. Sarah Beth, do you have anything you want to share from Cape?
It was great experience. We have a lot that we'll be sharing. I think everyone's maybe gonna, I have some things I'm gonna email to the board that I picked up or learned that I thought would be useful. So, but it was another successful CABE conference. Thanks for sending us.
Great, thank you. So I will report that, which was reported earlier by Vonda, that Brooke, Stephen, Maria, Sarah Beth and I, along with Vonda, attended the Page Patrick Convention, and a great offerings of workshops that we tried to split ourselves up and go to as many as we could. Maybe we could work on sending out a list. We went to what we started on that. Okay, and so we can get that out to the board in a weekly update, so if you have any questions about anything. And as Vonda reported earlier, our school district this year was selected after we presented lots of information. How many categories were there? Six categories, where there were multiple things that we had to do in each category, having met certain criteria. We had to submit all that to CABE. That was done with the help of Vanja and Marcia, who was amazing in getting all of that out to CABE. And we were chosen along with 11. We were one of 11 districts. One of 12 districts, thank you, that received the Board Recognition Award. And the last time our board received this was in 2017. So we now have a plaque that says 2017 and 2023 for high standard dedication and teamwork. So this will be in the superintendent. So many congratulations to all the board members who their work contributed to the evidence that we presented to CABE, and certainly thanks to Vonda and Marcia for helping us to compile all that evidence and send it to CABE. The board members who attended and Vonda had our picture taken with Commissioner Charlene Russell-Tucker, and were congratulated by her for the work that we do. And I will remind the people out in TV land that what we do is volunteer work. We come here, we come to the subcommittee meetings, we support the school, and work really hard to make sure that Beecher Road School is the gem that it is. So I thank all of you for that. Upcoming meeting presentation, as I said before, 24-25 operating budget proposal will be presented at a special meeting of the Board of Education on September 11th. Board members are going to have the opportunity to begin to develop questions for discussion. We'll do the same process we're doing with the capital budget. Any questions, thoughts, ideas, comments will go to Vonda and Donna, and then we'll have another opportunity on the 18th to look at that budget, and then additional budget work sessions are scheduled for January 3rd and January 4th if we need it. If we think we're good on January 3rd, we can vote. If we need January 4th, we'll meet on January 4th, and then we will vote on the operating, which is due to the town the following day. Okay, any questions about that process? Okay. New business. Vonda, accept certified staff resignation. Certified staff resigned over the last few weeks, and it's hard to accept resignations. Staff, we have a very special piece of teachers and staff. but it's the. Okay, thank you. So I'll make, the first motion. I move that we accept the resignation of Kristen Horvath effective November 10th, 2023 with regret. Do I have a second for that? Maria? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Yes, me too.
Thank you. That's unanimous, Marcia. And the next resignation that we've received, I will move that we accept the resignation of Christine Campbell effective November 13th, 2023 with regret. Do I have a second for that motion? Stephen? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Yes.
Unanimous, Marcia, thank you. And I would extend the board's good wishes to Kristen and Christine for their future. Thank you to both of them for the years at Beach Road School. I will also make note that, as mentioned in Vonda's report, Jane Shiner, a paraprofessional, has resigned, but the board does not act on the precise death. Action is good. My monthly community service announcement, policy committee will meet on Monday, December 4th at 4:30. As announced previously, there will be a special meeting of the full board on Monday, December 11th. So board members, make sure that's in your calendar for 7 p.m. Special meeting with the budget workshop. The finance committee will meet the following day, Tuesday, December 12th at 4:30. And our next regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting will be held on Monday, December 18th at 7 p.m. Do we have curriculum? Sarah Beth, what do you have for us?
I just have a question. I might have missed it. And I apologize. When the conversation about math.
Go ahead, Sarah Beth.
Oh, sorry. The conversation about math. Was there a follow-up that's going to happen at the next meeting? Where did that leave off? I tried to raise my hand during that time, but it.
Sorry, Sarah Beth. Apologize.
So what we said was that we would get back to the board with an additional update, but it would not be in December because we really need to focus on the budget. So it would most likely be January, depending on where we're at with our budget finalizations. But our expectation would be January. Just, kind of keep you apprised of where we're headed. And then again, in the spring.
Okay, so. Okay.
All set, Sarah Beth?
Yeah. Okay.
Mike, did I miss curriculum? Is that on your calendar?
It's the 7th.
Okay, thank you.
Does that still work?
I'll be out.
Okay, well, I'm gonna reach out to the committees next week with what would you like for draft agenda items. So at that point, if you decide you want to move it, we can definitely move it. Yeah.
All right, I think I can stick with that.
So Thursday, December 7th?
Is what we're.
Is that what we're currently looking at?
Yeah,
And what time is that currently, Mike?
at 4,
4 p.m. or 4:30?
if we were doing 4:30.
Curriculum is at 4.
4.
Sorry, Marcia, I couldn't hear you.
Curriculum is scheduled for 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. Thank you. Okay. Sorry for that. Obviously wasn't in my calendar. Okay, we're up to public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, Sarah Beth, are you making public comment or did you just not put your hand up?
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. But I do see in the participants list,
And then what do I do?
Kristen has her hand raised. Can you identify yourself?
Hi, it's Kristen Turcos. I live at 14 Bear Hill Road if you need that. I just really hope that the Board of Education members are not fooled by the bells and whistles attached to the math presentation given by the administration tonight. This presentation is basically just a repackaging of what was already being done in math at Beecher Road School. When my current sixth grader was in fifth grade, his teacher gave him pre-tests before each concept. And if he passed, he was given enrichment work to deepen his skills, not advance them. I have provided evidence at a previous meeting as to how this enrichment was really just busy work. And from speaking with current fifth grade parents, I know that the enrichment currently being provided in fifth grade is still just busy work. So now my son is in sixth grade, trying to learn sixth grade math concepts, which he could have learned in fifth grade, while at the same time being self-taught pre-algebra through a computer program. I understand that this disruption to the school community caused by several teachers leaving in sixth grade has made an impact on what can be done right now at this very moment in math. And as an educator, I also understand that there's a substitute shortage and it's very difficult to find quality educators, especially in the middle of the school year. Mr. Chase has done a phenomenal job picking up the sixth grade math curriculum unexpectedly and communicating to parents about student learning. But asking sixth graders to stare at a computer screen and basically homeschooling themselves using Alex is not an acceptable long-term solution for the second half of the school year. In fact, this was part of the plan anyways before tonight's presentation, and this Alex program was given to the sixth graders in late September. So I'm kind of lost as to why the use of the Alex program is even presentation worthy. This is just old news that has already been happening. So I really hope that the Board of Education members and specifically the curriculum committee members take a deeper look at the so-called solutions presented tonight and realize that these protocols were already in place to begin with. Nothing has changed and our children deserve better. And I really hope that the January presentation will reveal actual change in the math curriculum. And I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kristen. I also see Owen Miller.
Hi, I'm Betty Miller. You thought you got rid of me, but I'm here. I live on 59 Richard Sweet Drive, and I just want to make a quick comment about the suggestion for the geometry summer course. From what I know, that geometry summer course is offered, I believe, at Hampton Hall and Fairfield Prep for $3,000. That is not affordable, I would say. So I would ask the board to look into that, what this geometry summer program really is. Amity does not offer it, and that course, when it opens up, it is filled within less than a week of registration. So it is not available to anybody who wants to take it, right? And so just want to make that comment and for the board to really look into that as an option. Now, we're talking about, you know, I get that most kids will get to calculus, correct? But we're talking about, and I just want to reiterate, kids deserve to learn for a full year, right? So I just want to make sure that these kids are being properly challenged to think, right? To really do math because they can. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Betty. I
Thank
just
you for your
remind
time.
you that the summer geometry program is offered by Amity, or is the program through Amity High School. They have their own Board of Education. So we have no control over.
Correct. And I would say the Amity program, they have remediation. In order to be placed into to place out of geometry into Algebra 2 Level 1, you have to pass the Geometry Level 1 course or the test offered at Amity. It is not possible to pass with an 85 for a level 1 geometry test at Amity with a remedial class. It's just not possible. Level 1 is challenging. And so you really need the class offered at Hampton Hall or Fairfield Prep, I believe. The Hampton Hall is the only one that I know in this area that is offered. And I know this because students reach out to me because they couldn't get placed into that and it wasn't affordable. So we're really talking, it's an equity issue, right? Unless, so that's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, thank you.
Let me just scroll through the participants list, see if anyone else has their hand. Don't see any. So, we will move on to adjournment. There a motion to adjourn at 10:40 p.m. Brooke? Got nervous for a minute. I thought that's just not here. Do I have a second? Mike? Motion made by Brooke to adjourn at 10:40, seconded by Mike Scrambler. All those in favor?
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. It's unanimous, Marcia. Marcia, thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.